I love a buttered biscuit.
Dropped a grumpy, pardon the term, onto the bed.
Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're doing well tonight. Rodimus. Well, Jess is at work, so I'm filling in for her right now. So if you're wondering why you see an odd face on your screen and not Jess, she's listening. She can hear you. She just can't be on screen because she's going to be driving and doesn't want to, run over any little old ladies. So she's driving on home, but she'll drop in when she gets home. Good to see you, Rodimus. And also wonderful to see you too, Daisy girl. Girl, I thought you said you love her so much at first. Thank you so much, Jess. Hello, Rabbit. My wonderful Rabbit. I hope you are doing well, and I hope things are doing much better for you. Good to see you. Really it is. And without, too much further ado, what I'll do is I'll kick this thing off because this is a little bit of the boring part. It just gives some of the background with his nurse. This was his personal nurse. So we'll bring this up. We'll let this play, and we'll be doing day 4 and going into day 5 today. So kick back, enjoy. Hopefully we'll have some fresh commentary for you, but we will know whenever Jess gets here. She is the life of the party. So hang out, hit the thumbs up. Jess will be joining us as soon as she comes rolling in. We want to make sure that she's well fed, that she's not, starving herself whenever she gets home. So we've got plenty of time. No rush. No rush at all. And I'll drop up I always forget to do this because, well, I'm horrible with it. But there we go. Comments. Hey, Christine. How are you doing? How are you doing this evening? It's good to see you. And here we go. Make sure my volume's good. There we are. Oh boy. It's where she's
I remember being present for a fight with Mr. Depp, between Mr. Depp and Miss Heard.
Good to know.
Shortly after Mr. Depp returned from Australia.
I don't remember specifics.
Do you recall a fight when Amber's sister Whitney was present?
It's a good thing.
I don't recall.
Can we please pull up?
I just want to see one of them fish jump out of a tank.
Document H, please.
That is a sharp-dressed person right there. Man. Money goes a long way. my slobbing ass. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Give it 27.
And we are also streaming this over on Rumble if you feel
just
like
for the record,
watching it
this is
there.
a document that has the base number WH106 through 109.
And we'll say hello to all the
you're not
Rumblers.
included on this, but I just want to direct your attention to the first text message here. This is, I can represent to you, these are text messages between Erin Borum and Whitney Heard. And before I proceed, do you know who Whitney Heard is? Have you met her before? On how many occasions have you met Whitney?
I don't recall.
And what is Whitney's relation to Miss Heard?
Sister.
So this first text message appears to be from Erin Borum, and it says, Debbie just, and it's on
Debbie tells Dallas.
14, it's at 14:32 in military time on the date March 23rd, 2015. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, and it says, Debbie just told me what is going on.
So
and to
7
check
years
with you. Is
almost to
Amber
the
awake
date
or
prior.
fall asleep? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Do you recall reaching out
Thanks,
to
Rabbit.
Erin Borum on this date?
I do not.
Directing your attention down to Whitney's, to 3 messages down from Whitney. Or excuse me, let's go up. Do you see that Whitney responds to Erin, she finally fell asleep. And then Erin says, thank goodness, she must be exhausted. Do you want me to come to the loft, or is she safe and sound asleep? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Whitney responds, safe? No, she's not. She keeps saying she wants to kill herself. Do you see that?
I do.
Did you ever hear Miss Heard say that she wanted to kill herself?
No, we only heard her screams of pain and agony, as
No.
we should.
Do these text messages combined with your notes refresh your recollection about an incident that occurred on March 23rd, 2015?
I remember an incident, but I don't remember the dates of it.
What incident are you remembering?
There was an incident where Johnny and Amber got into a fight at the lofts.
And what do you remember about that?
I was staying next door at a hotel, and security had come to get me, saying that they had had an argument and Johnny wanted to go back to 86. So
Is that, is 86 the Sweetser property?
yes.
Yeah, because a lot of cases, 86 would be considered like 86ing or deleting somebody.
And so I went to the lofts, and I remember that night Amber was already leaving. She was in the lobby when we walked through, and when she saw that I was coming, she came back up to the apartment.
And what happened when Miss Heard came back up to their apartment?
I don't remember specifically what happened. I remember Johnny was sitting outside and we went to leave, and somehow we didn't end up leaving.
And why didn't you end up leaving?
I don't remember.
Because someone went
Do you
cuckoo
remember
for
who
Cocoa
else
Puffs.
was in the apartment?
I remember Travis, one of the security guards, was there.
Anyone else that you can remember?
I don't remember exactly who else was there.
Is Travis McGivern?
Correct.
Do you recall seeing Miss Heard throw anything at Mr. Depp?
I do not.
Do you remember Mr. Depp throwing anything at Miss Heard?
I don't recall.
Do you remember witnessing any physical violence on that occasion?
I saw Johnny
Kiss
push over one of
in the
Amber's clothing
closet.
racks.
Okay. No physical violence directed at
No
a human, correct? Okay. Okay. And then you said you didn't end up leaving the apartment after that, correct?
At some point that night we left.
Speed on this.
And when you say we, who does that include?
Myself, Johnny, and Travis.
And where did you go?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know where Amber went that night?
I don't know.
But she didn't come with you?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our afternoon recess for 15 minutes, okay? Again, don't talk to anybody and don't do any outside research, okay? All right, we'll see you in 15 minutes.
There we go. Cool part is we can skip over a good portion of it.
It's money. Thank you.
There we go. Mhm.
Can we please go back to the nursing notes, which are exhibit 23? And specifically, could we go to the entry for March 25th that starts on Depp 1736 and goes on to 1737?
17
Before you see at the bottom here where it says 325,
309.
and if we could just go to the next page, you'd agree that this is a continuation of that note, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you see under 1330, it says patient states pain is 4 out of 10. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does that reflect?
Pain was being rated at a 4 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10.
And then directing your attention down to the entry from March 26th. This is a note that you prepared, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And just to make sure, I'm not sure I asked, but the prior two notes we looked at, those are also notes you prepared, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you why don't you take a moment and read through this note and just let me know when you're done.
Read it and we. It's so nice whenever they get through all of these video depositions.
Now, the beginning of the note starts at 1:45. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And so again, is that 1:45 in the morning?
Correct.
And it says here, RN called the patient's home. Upon arrival, patient and wife were fighting in the garage. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you remember this incident?
I do not.
It says when arguments became heated, patient removed himself from situation and had security drive him to another home. Do you see that?
I do.
I think you just testified you don't remember witnessing this, correct?
I do not.
But you don't have any reason to doubt the accuracy of what you wrote down in your note, correct?
I do not.
Had you seen Mr. Depp remove himself from fights before in this manner?
Yes.
Of course, as we know, he's bound to do.
Could we please turn to the entry for March 31st, which is on
Johnny removes himself from a lot of these situations.
1740.
Man, I could not imagine having a
Ms. Lloyd, this is also a note you prepared.
relationship as toxic as this.
Do you see the portion that starts 1:30? Patient continues to CO pain 10/10, which is causing anxiety and insomnia. Do you see that? And
Yeah.
what does this mean? Plaintiff continues to CO pain 10/10.
Complain of.
Okay. And the 10 out of 10 is the pain on the scale that you referenced previously, correct?
Correct.
Directing your attention down to the portion that starts with 1615. It says, at follow-up with surgeon, bandage was removed from skin graft. Graft took 100%, but there was an infection under bolster. Finger was drained, pin was removed, and Rosafin 1G was administered during appointment. Did I read that correctly?
Hola,
If my
Denny.
pronunciation is incorrect.
¿Cómo está?
What does this reflect that Mr. Depp had the bandage from his skin graft on his right middle finger removed on his face?
Meaning removed at that time or removed for good?
Removed at that time.
Yeah, at that time, that's what that would mean,
And the pin from his finger was also removed.
according to this.
And when you say the bandage was removed at that time, are you clarifying that because another bandage was put on?
I don't remember. That's why I was clarifying.
T-Rex.
Okay. Um,
Your home
do
is
you
with
remember
us,
what type of
brother.
bandages
Your home
Mr.
is
Depp
with
had on
us.
his hand
You're safe.
at the time?
We've got you. Sorry to hear
I
that,
didn't hear you.
man.
What type of bandage?
Yes.
Having your truck in the shop sucks.
I don't remember specifics.
But
Was
hopefully
it a
they're getting
hard
it fixed
cast
up.
or a soft cast?
Soft.
Okay. Was Mr. Depp's hand I'm sorry.
I don't recall if it was a cast, but I know the bandage was soft.
Okay. Do you recall whether Mr. Depp could move the hand that was bandaged?
Hand, yes, for a while. His finger was like splinted.
Did he grab anything with that hand?
I remember him pretending he had a claw. He could do this.
Were certain fingers bound together in the cast?
I don't remember specifics.
Well, he's not in a state of panic. I'm just kidding. I'll give him a hard time. Good to see you, Shenny. Also good to see you, T-Rex Trucking. Sorry to hear your truck is in the shop. Hopefully only for a few more hours, but hopefully that's it.
Mr. Depp eventually returned to Australia after the time period we were just discussing, correct?
Correct.
And you returned with him?
Correct.
And how long did you stay in Australia on that trip?
I don't recall.
I'd like to direct your attention to the last page of this document, which says it's due for July 1st. Do you see that?
Yes.
Please take a moment and read through this and just let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, great. This is a note you prepared, yes?
Correct.
And do you remember the events reflected in this note?
I do not.
Directing your attention to the portion that starts with 1235. You see where it says RN received text from patient's assistant that the arguments between
Lots of
patient and
coffee.
his wife are continuing and RN should come to the set to see patient.
Hopefully they have
Did I
some
read that
jelly
correctly?
donuts, T-Rex. I like jelly donuts.
Sorry, I didn't hear your response.
Yes.
I like cheese danishes
Who was
too.
the assistant referred to here, if you can recall?
I don't recall. He had two main assistants,
And who were they? Do
Stephen and Nathan.
you recall both of them being in Australia?
I don't recall. They were both there.
Why did you understand? Right, Jeff. Why did you understand that you were being called to step?
Cream filled. Mm. Yes.
I don't recall at the time.
All right, now directing your attention to the last part of this note that says 2100. Says here, between shooting, patient was able to express his feeling to RN. He explained that his wife makes him feel that he can never do anything right and that they cannot have a conversation without her blowing up. Do you see that? And I think you testified you don't recall having this exchange with Mr. Depp.
Correct.
No.
Um,
As an answer to your question.
This goes on to say, patient was given positive reinforcement for expressing his feelings. Patient verbalized he knows it's best for them to take a break from each other when the fights start to escalate, but how she will follow him from room to room when he tries to get away. You see that?
Yeah.
Have you ever personally observed Mr. Depp try to get away from Miss Heard and her then following him?
Yes,
But you don't recall him telling you in this specific instance.
I do not.
And again, you don't have any reason to doubt the accuracy of this note.
I do not.
This appears
I
to
remember
be the
those.
last note reflected in this document. Do you see that?
Good to see you, Miss Iris. ¿Cómo
And I think you
está?
said you don't recall specifically when you stopped caring for Mr. Depp, correct?
don't remember the
Sorry,
red
what was the answer?
frames
Sorry.
Johnny's wearing.
Correct.
I don't.
Sorry, thank you.
I don't
Um,
know.
do
I don't
you
like
recall
those
why
types
you
of
stopped providing
classes,
nurs-
but
nursing
that's just
services to
me.
Mr. Depp?
I do not.
Did you continue to work for Dr. Kipper after you stopped providing nursing services to Mr. Depp?
Yes.
Now, I think you testified earlier, you don't recall the last time you saw Mr. Depp?
Not for sure, no.
What's the last time that you remember seeing him?
I went to his one of his Hollywood vampire show out here in the desert.
Nice. That had to be a
Was Mr.
fun
Depp
show.
and Ms. Heard still in a relationship when you saw Mr. Depp the last time?
Not that I was aware of.
That's but what Beck was still alive too, so that would have been a
Um,
very fun
When was
show.
the last time you saw Ms. Heard?
I have no idea.
What's the last time you remember seeing her?
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
During
I agree
the
with
time
you.
you were
Glad
Mr.
Iris's
Depp's
name
nurse,
is back.
did you ever see Mr. Depp physically abuse Ms. Heard?
It's only one man that can
You
call
had
her
witnessed this
Irish.
and you have documented it in your nursing notes.
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Heard?
I do not recall ever seeing him throw anything.
Did you, during the time you cared for Mr. Depp, did you ever see Ms. Heard physically abuse Mr. Depp?
No.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything at Mr. Depp?
I don't recall.
In the time that you cared for Mr. Depp, did he ever tell you that Ms. Heard was physically abusive towards him?
I don't recall any conversations like that.
Were you ever concerned for Mr. Depp's safety around Ms. Heard?
No.
Were you ever called over by Mr. Depp when he was in a fight with Ms. Heard?
I can't remember if it was when a fight. I remember being called over after fights.
And why, to the extent you know, why were you being called over?
My role with Johnny was medication and emotional support.
Wow. How would you like to have her for emotional support?
How many times did you travel with Mr. Depp while he was under your care?
Multiple, but I don't know a specific number.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard get in arguments while you were traveling?
Yes.
And what would Mr. Depp do in those circumstances?
I don't remember specifics other than the one time I mentioned on the airplane.
Did Mr. Depp ever book a separate room to separate himself from Ms. Heard?
I don't recall.
Have you ever
I
witnessed
would.
Ms. Heard lose her temper?
I don't recall specifics.
What do you recall generally?
I can't recall.
Oh my. Can't
Um,
recall anything.
in the time you treated Mr. Depp, did you ever
At least she's
suspect he
honest
was
about it.
under the influence of alcohol?
Yes.
Recall specific times being.
I know the feeling.
Do you
I don't
recall
have any simps, so
specific
I don't
instances
have to
when you
worry
were
about
concerned
that.
he was under the influence of drugs that had not been prescribed by one of his physicians?
I don't recall.
Did Mr. Depp ever tell you that someone had taken his prescription drugs?
I don't recall a conversation.
Could we pull up Exhibit I, please?
Please stand by.
Heard. This is a document bearing the base numbers Depp 7804 through 7848.
Exhibit 28.
Ms. Lloyd, I'll represent that these are text messages between you and Mr. Depp. I think you've seen some portions of this document when you were answering Mr. Naderhoff's questions. But I'd like to just direct your attention specifically to messages between you and Mr. Depp on May 27th, 2015, which appears on page
She's weird.
7841 and goes through to 78.
Yeah, that's was his personal nurse. You know, she is I can see that. She is a little weird. Looks like she's had some cosmetic surgery done, possibly. Yeah. But hey, it is California. It is Los Angeles. You are with the rich and famous, and you know, looks do mean quite a bit.
Sorry, Counsel, was there an instruction?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Can you please go to
Well, if you're wondering about the way that
page
she's responding,
7841?
it is a
And we're gonna
little
be scrolling
weird and a little
through
odd
the pages after
because certain things are taken out of and cut, clipped.
that. It's up to 2 pages.
If there was an objection, things would have been changed. Plus, you know, depositions like this are always a pain.
Text message that starts in row 320.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like you to please read through the text messages in row 320 through 337, which are
Thank you.
from May 27th, 2015. And before you begin, I just want to confirm this number.
That's because she doesn't remember.
Your name, that's your phone number.
That's part of why she's. It seems like it's
Oh yeah, but I was
evasive.
looking below. I was like, no, above, yes.
She doesn't understand some of the
So if you could
questions,
read through the text messages reflected in rows.
or just doesn't know how to answer them
through
because
337,
doesn't
and
have an
let me know
answer.
when you're done.
Okay, I'm done through 322.
Oh, by the way, hi, Black Eagle. as Irish reminded me. We have people jumping in. As you come in, make sure you hit the like button, whether you're on Jessica Reloaded side or you're on my side of watching the stream, or if you're watching both streams, hit the thumbs up. It does wonders for the algorithm. Lets YouTube know that we care.
Okay, I'm done through 330.
Tonight is the night. No, just tonight. No. Bum, bum. Oh, so long, so slow. This is the boring part of it because they're reading. Well, at least she's doing that. Some of these people don't even do what they're supposed to. They come too well prepped. That's fine, Rabbit. You listen away, sweetheart.
Are you done through 337?
Oh yeah, I was done through
Okay.
330.
All right. Do you recall this exchange with Mr. Depp?
I do not.
Do you have an understanding of what you and Mr. Depp are discussing?
I mean, just from what the text messages says, I can see what he was saying,
And what was Mr. Depp saying?
that his as needed medications were missing.
Anything else about how they came to be missing?
I already don't remember what the above text stated.
Okay, let's go to the text that's in row 33, please. Oh, 333, please. And it says here, saw them, she wiped me out of everything. Need Adderall in the PRNs. I don't like to be out of stuff on the just in case kind of deal. I can't believe she's got the balls to flat out steal my meds for her.
It's like
fucking
Amber's
debaucheries.
assistant, same thing.
Hard
on the
game.
stream.
After all, she is the sister. Ex me. Did I read
Yeah.
that right? Do you have any understanding as to what Mr. Depp is referring to there?
I do not.
Do you know who he's referring to when he says she is the sister?
I do not.
Sure. How did Ms. Heard treat you when you first started caring for Mr. Depp?
She was accepting.
Did that ever change in the time you treated Mr. Depp?
I felt it did.
You felt that at some time Ms. Heard's demeanor towards you changed.
Who's to say she didn't get a little bit of Johnny
Yes.
Depp?
Okay.
I mean,
when do you recall her demeanor?
I don't know.
I don't recall specifically.
I don't know
How did
her
how did her treatment
persuasion.
you change?
She may not find
It
him
wasn't so
attractive
much
at
her
all.
treatment of me hearing that she didn't want me around from other members.
Where
Ah,
did you hear
see.
that from?
I don't recall specific. It was from other staff, people that we worked with.
Did you understand? Do
Get
you
it,
have any
girl.
understanding as to why she didn't want you around?
I do not.
Was Ms. Heard unfriendly towards you?
No.
Did Ms. Heard ever get angry at you in your presence?
Not that I recall.
So just to be clear, your understanding that Ms. Heard's feelings towards you changed is based off of what you heard from other people, correct?
Yes.
And your understanding was that, as you said, she didn't want you around, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
One of them did.
Mr. Depp was your patient, correct?
If you're talking about his
And Amber Heard is
ex,
not your patient, is that right?
the model, no,
you
she
you
is not
testified before, I believe, that you said one of your
We're
roles
still early
for
on
Mr.
in
Depp
the,
was providing him emotional support.
in this.
Did I recall that correctly?
Correct.
But the
That
one
you
that
didn't
was
have that role
removed
For
from
Amber Heard, correct?
speaking has already been.
One of the exhibits I saw, it was exhibit, I believe, Lloyd 22, there was a reference to polysubstance abuse. What is that?
Polysubstance abuse is used to determine the use of different drugs and or alcohol.
So it's abusing more than one drug or alcohol, is that right?
Her
That's
assistant,
what it's
English
determined, yes.
lady.
Could we go
No.
to Lloyd 23? So
I don't
the
think
Lloyd
her
views of
assistant-
March 7th, 20.
Because this is
15
all
entries.
Johnny Depp right now. There's been a few of them. There's a few English ladies that have that are in here, so it's hard to tell which one.
And you see the entry for 1300?
Yes.
You wrote, patient was having a hard time leaving the house, so security suggested the MD and RN go to house to see patient. Upon arrival to house, patient was sitting in car ready to leave. MD assessed patient's finger and will spend more time with patient at the location he's being moved to. You wrote that,
I did.
and that was you wrote that based off of information you were provided?
I don't recall what that first sentence is regarding.
Right, you don't have any reason to question the accuracy of the statement?
I do not.
And then at 11:30, the bottom entry, you had testified a bit to that. After the highlighted portion, it says MD offered patient Valium 10 milligrams IM to help with his anxiety and anger, but patient refused. You wrote that,
I did.
and you have no reason to question the accuracy of that.
I do not.
Was Mr. Depp expressing any? You recall Mr. Depp expressing any anger?
Only what I see I referred to earlier in that note, the portion that was highlighted.
Then the highlighting goes going to the next page. Patient was talking about wanting to drink alcohol but did not obtain any. You wrote that,
I did,
and that was based off of what you saw with Mr. Depp.
according to this, yes.
And there's no reason to question the accuracy of that note.
Correct.
And then 3/8/15, 145, you write, a patient has been on phone with his security guard that is staying with his wife at their rented house. Patient is discussing wanting to go home to LA tomorrow and rehashing night. Patient's personal security guard came to stay with patient. RN will be next door and instructed security to call during the night if needed. You wrote that?
Correct.
There you go.
You know what you meant by patient is discussing wanting to go home to LA tomorrow and rehashing night?
I do not recall what that's referring to.
I believe you testified way in the beginning that you go to Dr. Kipper as a patient. Is that right?
Correct.
Not going into details, but how long have you been his patient?
Since before I went to nursing, early 2000s.
Okay. And do you consider Dr. Kipper to be a friend?
Yes.
When you were with Mr. Depp in Australia, was he drinking at that time?
I don't recall him drinking.
Do you recall that he was specifically abstaining from drinking during that time?
I don't recall.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard drink in front of Mr. Depp while he was abstaining from alcohol?
Yes.
Did you ever, did he ever ask her not to do that, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
It's not
All right.
an abnormal question to ask.
Your next witness,
All right.
Your Honor, Mr. Depp calls Sean Bett.
Sean. And hey, how do you spell the last name? I'm sorry.
B-E-T-T.
B-E-T-T. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Bett.
Oh, could you take television? Television.
I think this is it, one of his personal security guards.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bett.
Good afternoon.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Joshua Sean Bett.
Mr. Bett, what is your
It's
occupation?
loud.
I'm currently security with Johnny Depp.
And your current employer is Mr. Depp?
That's correct.
And how long have you been in private security?
Approximately just over 20 years.
Wow.
Prior to working in private security, what were you doing professionally?
I was with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
Nice.
And how long were you with the LA County Sheriff's Department?
Just over 14 years.
Over those 14 years, would you please describe for the jury your responsibilities in each position you held with the LA County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I was assigned to custody division where we handled the intake and outtake of inmates. Then I was assigned to patrol division where I was assigned to crime units where we were did calls for service, proactive, reactive arrest. After that, I was assigned to gang details where we focus and saturated in certain areas within our district on gang shootings and things of that nature. Then after that, I was assigned to gang units where I performed search warrants and things of that nature, worked with homicide, worked with special enforcement bureaus to combat a lot of the crime that was taking place in our area.
Just constant.
Did it come to
Horrible.
a point where your employment with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department came to an end?
It did.
And how did that come about?
I was in a couple of really bad traffic collisions. And
Oh, yeah.
during the course of duties, the County of Los Angeles issued what they
Drugs
call
are
a
terrible.
medical retirement or discharge. And so I was kind of forced out based on my injuries.
And after you left the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, what did you do next?
I was doing some private investigations, and I also was doing security, estate
Oh, yeah.
security at various residents and offices, and working with different executives on certain details.
And when you were doing state security, did you work with a certain clientele?
I did.
What type of clientele?
It ranged from CEOs, VPs of Fortune 500 companies to certain types of celebrities as well.
How did you come to be employed by Mr. Depp?
During the course of working estate security and the type of private security, you come in contact with a lot of other individuals and security companies, what we like to call networking. So when you network with a lot of individuals, they call you from time to time to ask you if you're available to work certain days, weeks, events, and things of that nature. So I was asked by an individual if I wanted to work the estate of Mr. Depp, and I, of course, said yes on a part-time basis at the time.
And where is Mr. Depp's estate?
It's in West Hollywood, or it borders West Hollywood in the city of LA.
And approximately what year was that?
I know where that is.
That was at the end of either 2006 into the beginning of 2007, around that time.
And since 2006, 2007, have you been employed exclusively by Mr. Depp?
I have done other work over the years on a part-time basis with other firms, but primarily within the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 years, it's been with Mr. Depp and his family.
And would you please describe for the jury your general job responsibilities when you first started working for Mr. Depp?
It was mostly state security, so we controlled the, people that arrived at the estate. We were there to monitor the streets to make sure there were no overzealous fans or paparazzi that would hop fences or would try to sneak in bushes and take pictures of the family. It also entailed taking the kids or the kid's mother to school or shopping or out to dinner and things of that nature.
And when you say the kids, do you mean Mr. Depp's children?
I do.
And who was their mother?
Vanessa Paradis.
Based on your observations, Mr. Bett, would you please describe what it was like working for Mr. Depp in the beginning?
When I first met him,
Oh, excuse me, objection what? Sorry. The foundation, I guess. When are we talking about? Is that what you asked? Could you turn your microphone on?
Vague foundation,
vague.
also just relevance.
All right.
What was it like working for him?
Yeah,
What's the
turn on
relevance?
your
The
microphone.
relevance is, Your Honor, just background, just to understand.
I sustain the objection. We can move on.
Okay. Over the years, Mr. Bett, has your responsibilities evolved
We
over
take
time
the
as
leftover
you've,
women for
provided protection
ourselves.
for Mr. Depp and his family?
it has.
And how so?
I started to travel a little bit more with them out of state and then eventually out of the country and worldwide.
We grape the horses and ride the women.
Did your interactions with Mr. Depp also evolve from the beginning to
If you don't
now?
know the reference,
They did. I was around him quite a bit when he was in town. In the very beginning of my employment with him, he was doing a lot of movies. He was out of the state. He was out of the country a lot. So once he was back in town, if I wasn't with his children, taking him around to school and so forth, I would be around Mr. Depp and provide, security for him when he went out and about in public and so forth.
Would you please describe for the jury your general access to Mr. Depp while providing security for him?
yes.
I had access
my
to him at any
goodness.
given time. He had an open door policy. I had access to his residence, the inside, all the rooms at any given time in the event there was an emergency or anything like that.
And when traveling with Mr. Depp, was the access the same?
It was. I have access to his hotel room. Again, if there's an emergency, I have, wherever he's at, I make sure, and it's mandatory that I and other security personnel have access to him.
And would you please describe for the jury your current job responsibilities?
Basically to provide security for him and his well-being, albeit if he's in a hotel, a residence, or when he's out and about in public.
Has your job title changed from the beginning to now?
Yes, I primarily now just work with Mr. Depp, not so much with his children anymore. So I guess you could say, for a term, when we're in the United States, I'm kind of his lead security guy.
Are there other members of Mr. Depp's security team?
There are.
And would you please name some of those security members?
That would be Malcolm Conley, who primarily does his European security, although he does come from the States from time to time. Leonard Damian, Mark Gibbs, Travis McGivern, Starling Jenkins.
Who is Jerry Judge?
Jerry Judge used to be his chief security individual. He was with him well over 20 years, I believe, and we lost him a few years ago to cancer.
Man.
Over the course of your employment with Mr. Depp, have you seen him
Jerry
consume
seems like he was
alcohol?
a good guy.
I have.
How frequently?
It ranged. Sometimes I wouldn't see him drink at all, and there'd be other times he, would have a glass of wine or two.
And based on your observations, how would you describe Mr. Depp's demeanor after drinking alcohol?
His demeanor is the same as if you were talking to him. I would joke around with some of the other security personnel. He's, my terminology would be he's kind of too cool for school. He goes into that kind of Jack Sparrow mode, and he just, he's very likable, whether he drinks or he doesn't drink.
Based on your observations, have you ever seen Mr. Depp appear intoxicated?
Objection leading.
Yeah.
Overruled on that.
Oh, come on.
I've seen him slightly intoxicated.
And again, based on your
Yeah.
observations, what is Mr. Depp's demeanor like when he appears slightly intoxicated?
It's the same as if he, had a glass of sparkling water. I mean, he's just very low key. He's easy to get along with. And, he just seems to me, he handles alcohol a lot better than I would.
And over the course of your employment with Mr. Depp, have you ever seen him consume drugs?
I haven't.
Of course not. That's
Are
the
you
wise
generally
thing to
aware
say.
that Mr. Depp has used drugs over the years?
I am.
And how are you aware of that?
I agree.
From
That
him.
sucks. Is he happy, John?
Do you know who Miss Heard is?
No change at all. It wasn't
Who
like
was
he was a
Ms. Heard?
happy drunk or
She is Mr. Depp's
anything. They
ex-spouse.
said he had no
When
change in
did you
his
first
demeanor.
meet Ms. Heard?
It probably would have been around 2011, 12, maybe around 2010. It was some time ago.
And how did you first meet her?
She came over to his Hollywood estate.
And would you please describe for the jury some of your early interactions with Ms. Heard?
She was very pleasant, very easy to get along with. I mean, she was almost as if she was a next door neighbor, just always had a smile to her face and just no issues at the time. And, I liked her a lot.
In the early days of Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's relationship, did you have an opportunity to observe them together?
I did.
Dumber.
How frequently?
I like it.
In the early stages, it was kind of on a part-time basis because a lot of times, he was traveling or he was out of town working on films and so forth. But when they were in LA, I saw them quite frequently, which could have been the days that I worked, which varied anywhere between 4, 5, 6 days a week.
And based on what you observed of them together, how would you describe Ms. Heard's relationship with Mr. Depp when they first started seeing each other?
Dirty, nasty,
Objection,
wild.
foundation.
All right, foundation.
Your Honor, I believe I've laid the foundation
Couldn't
that
get
he
their
saw
hands off
them
of one
frequently
another.
together when they first started dating.
How he would describe their relationship is
All
is
right.
not the foundation.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Oh,
After Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard started a romantic relationship, did you become familiar with any of Ms. Heard's family or friends?
I did.
Which ones?
Her sister, Whitney Heard, her good friend,
Whitney.
Raquel or Rocky Pennington, another friend, Io Tillett Wright, Miss Pennington's boyfriend at the time, Josh Drew.
And did you have an opportunity to observe Mr. Depp's interactions with Ms. Heard's family and friends?
I did.
And how would you generally describe their interactions?
He was very open and warm to them. He, offered them, whatever they needed. They were constantly coming around the estate. Eventually he let a couple of them live in his penthouses downtown for free. He would let them, a few of them drive his nice Dodge Challenger in and around town and take on trips.
Did you have an opportunity to observe how Ms. Heard's friends and families treated
gotta
Mr.
be the
Depp?
life.
I did. They were obviously very pleasant to him because, from
Old Peter
observing,
like I've got.
they were taking advantage of him. So they were being obviously extra nice to the hand that feeds them. And that's just progressed over a period of time.
How did Ms. Heard interact with you?
All right, what's the relevance?
It's just background, Your Honor. It's
I'll sustain the objection and move on.
And it's a good objection. She's going down through her notes, making
Were you
sure.
ever present, Mr. Bett, for any conversations amongst Ms. Heard and her friends?
I was.
Can you describe any particular one that stands out to you?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading calls for hearsay.
All right,
Well, to the extent, Your Honor, we're offering Ms. Heard's statements. It's not hearsay.
all right. Well, if you can lay a foundation to that. Let's see.
Well, the goal is not to stay poor.
Do you recall any specific instances, Mr. Bett, where
I think
you heard Ms. Heard say
People take
something to her
advantage
friends?
of you.
I do.
Okay. Can you describe one of those situations?
Yes. The first one, I was taking her from Mr. Depp's property to her apartment in the south end of the city that I believe Mr. Depp was paying for. She was sitting next to me in the vehicle. She was talking to a girlfriend or a friend where they were talking about another male. And she says to the friend, girlfriend, whoever she was talking to, all men are idiots. You shouldn't trust that guy. And then she turned to me and she said, sorry, Sean, not you. I didn't mean that. And I just shrugged it off like it's not a big deal.
Do you remember approximately when that conversation took place?
I would say probably maybe 2012 or 13, perhaps even a little bit sooner than that. It was a long time ago.
And over the years of Ms. Heard's and Mr. Depp's relationships, did you have an opportunity to observe how the relationship evolved?
I did.
And
Well, I'll just see what the next question is. That's fine.
did you notice any changes in the relationship between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
Objection, vague, foundation, relevance, and leading.
All right. Well, I'll allow
Oh,
you to give
man.
a timeline set there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you notice any changes in the relationship between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard after the initial stages
Hello.
of them
How are you?
beginning to
Lou,
engage in a romantic relationship?
good to
I
see
did.
you.
And would you please describe those changes that you observed?
Well, I noticed they went from being that loving, almost like high school couple where they were very giddy towards each other. He was very happy. She was very happy to, they started to argue. They started to
Sweet.
argue periodically, and then the arguing started to progress more and more and more. And it was always taking place because, Ms. Heard would start this argument.
Did you ever observe Ms. Heard drink alcohol?
I did.
How often?
It just varied. There would be, some days when I was working that I would see her. There would be other days I didn't see her or she was out of town working. So it just really depended on when she was around. And when she was around, for the most part, she was drinking. Sometimes I'd see a glass in her hand and sometimes I'd see her,
A bottle.
have 2 glasses if I was in the presence of her and Mr. Depp, obviously.
Based on your observations, did it ever appear that Ms. Heard was intoxicated?
There were times when I went into the penthouse or we were at the Hollywood estate and, based on my training experience in law enforcement, I could tell she was,
Objection, Your Honor.
slightly intoxicated.
Excuse me.
Pretty sure.
Getting.
Yep, my bra's off.
Expert testimony. He's not designated expert.
Perhaps we can have him answer the question without any citing to any experience in law enforcement, Mr. Bett.
I'm
I'll
always
just say
dressed for
objections.
bed.
Okay, understood. Do you recall observing any arguments between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
Several.
Can you tell the jury about one that comes to mind?
There was an incident, for example, I just happened to be on the floor of their penthouse, which is on the top floor of this building. I was outside by the pool area reading a book, and when I was walking back past their door, I could hear shouting. I could hear her voice shouting, at a very high pitch. So I didn't rush in right away or anything. I just kind of stood by the door. He was, speaking with her, and then the voices, the shouting dissipated, and then, there was music playing, and then they started talking. So I kind of just stood by the door briefly, and then I went into another section of the penthouse floor.
Do you recall approximately the time frame of that argument?
As far as the year or how long it lasted?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Bett. The year.
That could have been perhaps 2012, 2013. Maybe a little thereafter.
Did Ms. Heard ever confide in you about her relationship with Mr. Depp?
Briefly.
Do you recall her saying anything in particular about her relationship with Mr.
Well,
Depp?
there was a couple occasions. There was one occasion in which they had an argument at his West Hollywood address. Johnny told me, just take her downtown to the penthouse so she can relax and cool off. As we were driving downtown, she was crying. This was at the point when the arguing was taking place quite frequently. And I was telling her, I said, Amber, this can't continue. You guys are either going to kill each other, or you're going to be in jail. And, with tears and everything, she says, but I love him and I'm not going to lose him. And I says, but you guys can't keep doing this. So we eventually got to the downtown apartments. She said, thank you. I dropped
She
her
acts
off.
like a petulant little child.
And then I went back to the West Hollywood address.
Mm. He's not wrong. Relationships are.
What did you mean
can be
by,
complicated.
this can't continue when you told Ms. Heard that?
The constant arguing and bickering and so forth, because as I said, it was slowly progressing and, it was just going to turn out bad eventually.
Mm-hmm. What did Jessica and I say the other day? Eventually, somebody was going to die.
I believe you testified earlier that you observed many arguments
than likely
between
him.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Do you recall anything that Ms. Heard said to Mr. Depp while they were arguing?
There was an incident because, as I said, the arguing progressed over and over as the years continued. He would text me when I was working saying,
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain that objection if you want.
Mr. Bett, if you could just focus on what you overheard Ms. Heard say while observing arguments between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard.
But that would still be hearsay.
I overheard her saying to him, he's a fat ass, fuck you, Johnny, and you too, Sean, at one time when, she went to throw a water bottle or a plastic cup down the stairs and it bounced kind of in Johnny's direction, but I ended up getting him and we, got out of there as soon as possible.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything other than a water bottle?
It was a water
yeah.
bottle or a coffee cup. It was something plastic.
Other than a water bottle or a plastic cup, did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything else?
No, other than what he told me when she threw a broken bottle and
No,
sliced his
no,
finger.
Sir, I'll sustain the objection.
Yeah,
and
that's
jury will strike
hearsay.
That
can't do
testimony.
it.
Please just answer the question asked. And when there's an objection, do not speak. Okay?
I'm sorry.
Thank
I
you.
know you want to, but
After observing several arguments between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, what happened next?
As far as a time frame, well, as I said, the arguing when it would continue, we would always, I'd put him in the car and we'd drive back to his West Hollywood address. At which point it just depended on the week or the day or the month. They would reconcile within hours, or it might take a day where he would stay overnight at his West Hollywood address, and then I would take him back the next day, and they would reconcile by talking, and she would have candles lit, or a bottle of wine open with glasses, and within certain evenings, I'd get a text message from her asking me to go pick up dinner at local restaurants they frequented.
Did you
That's
ever
gonna be
see any
nice.
violence between Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp?
wish I could have security pick up my dinner some nights.
Other than the
No,
occasion
no.
when you saw Ms. Heard
I just have
throw
to make my
something
own.
plastic in Mr. Depp's direction, did you ever see Ms. Heard hit Mr. Depp?
No,
Did you ever see any physical injuries on Ms. Heard?
I didn't.
Did you ever see any physical injuries on Ms.
Hello, my
Heard on
gorgeous
occasions
stage
after
warrior.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard argued?
Wonderful to see you here tonight. Thank you for
Objection, Your Honor,
coming by.
foundation.
All right, you want a time frame?
And we are doing very well tonight.
On the occasions that you witnessed Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp argue,
Junior will be joining
after that,
us
did you ever
soon.
see any physical injuries
She's
on
got
Ms.
it.
Heard?
She's got to take
Same
off her
question.
bra, put on her
All right, hold on.
jammies, grab a bite to eat. Better eat something, Jessica. Don't make me
At any
hurt you.
point during Ms. Heard's and
And you
Mr.
should
Depp's
join us.
relationship, did you ever see any injuries on Ms. Heard?
No.
How about on Mr. Depp?
Yes.
Yeah.
When did you
So
observe
right.
injuries on Mr. Depp?
The first time would have been around
Jessica's nice.
2014, I guess,
Chill.
in which he had
Like a chill, Jessica.
his finger was damaged from an incident in Australia.
Do you know how Mr. Depp's finger was damaged?
Yes.
Objection, foundation.
Foundation?
It's just background if he knows. I won't ask the full.
I'll
the follow-up
sustain the
question.
objection unless he was an Australian thought himself.
Okay.
No,
When
Jess
else did you
is
see injuries on Mr. Depp?
Jess is getting.
I saw another
ready
injury
for
around
She just
would have
got
been
home from
March
work.
of 2015. He
So
had
she jumps in. She'll be
a
on
swollen
here.
kind of cheekbone
Don't you
eyelid.
worry. She's
Your Honor, if I may please pull up a photograph exhibit number
she will
146.
be jumping in.
Just for the
Um,
witness, that's
okay.
correct.
She's got
I'm sorry, 146?
got
Yes, thank you, Your
things
Honor.
to take care of
That's
whenever
plaintiff's
she
obviously.
first gets
That's
home,
146.
like walk the dog, those kinds of things. So whenever she gets here, she'll get here. But we're glad that you came. Definitely, Oz, and glad to hear it, Miss Jolly. Yeah,
Mr. Bett,
You'll
do you
be missed.
recognize this photograph?
I do,
And how do you recognize it?
thank you. Really,
because I took that picture.
Why did you take this photograph?
Well, we needed it as evidence in case Ms. Heard tried to make allegations towards Mr. Depp. I was emphatic with him, telling him that's a serious mark and we need to photograph it.
I just moved to strike for foundation.
I'll allow that answer. But thank you.
And
That
when
was
did you
a
take this
good
photograph?
answer. He's a cop. He knows how.
It
to
would have been
answer.
around March of 2015.
Your Honor, we ask that this photograph please be published to the jury and admitted into evidence.
Any objection to 146?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 146 in evidence and be published to the jury. Thank you.
That's nothing.
Mr. Bett, what
But
does
still,
this photograph
sucks.
show?
It depicts a swollen upper left cheekbone with
My
redness to it.
God, Jimmy, how you doing? Good to see you, girl.
Thank you.
So
Did you notice any other injuries on Mr. Depp?
On that specific day, no,
Later in time, did you ever notice any other injuries on Mr. Depp?
I did.
Can you please describe what you recall?
It was around December of that same year, 2015. He got into an argument with Ms. Heard and she scratched him and he had injuries.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection. Only your observation, sir, what you saw.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bett, can you please describe the injury that you saw on Mr. Depp?
Yes, he had scratch marks around his nose area, I believe on one of the sides of his face in the cheek area, and then on his forehead.
And if we could just have, just published to the witness, plaintiff's exhibit number 65.
65.
And Mr. Bett, this is a 3-page document, so if I can have Mr. Arnold Blair please scroll down.
Okay.
Yeah, he's having to read all 3
Okay,
pages.
thank you.
Do you recognize these photographs?
I do,
And how do you recognize them?
because I took them.
Oh,
When did you take them?
Mid-December 15th.
And why did you take these photographs?
I took them to show proof that he once again had injuries sustained in an altercation.
Oh, I gotta address this right here. It sounds amazing. It warmed up in Western Kentucky, so it's 64. Enjoying it for now. Yeah, today was 79 degrees outside. It was beautiful. It was really nice. Yeah, so they're getting ready to show some of the scrapes and scratches that he had, the pictures that the security guard took. So it's not blood and gore. Sorry. We don't do blood and gore here if we can. The only blood and gore that you see is whenever Jessica gets a hold of me and, beats me like a kung fu master. And then it's just, there's just blood and gore everywhere. We can't avoid it. She's so
Your Honor, we'll
dangerous.
move to publish these photographs to the jury and for admittance.
All right, any objection to 65?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 65 in evidence. It can be published.
Yeah, there's scratches on
And
his
Mr. Bett, would
nose.
you please describe what we're looking at here?
The first picture, there's a laceration on the left side of his nose. It looks like the left upper cheek has a slight bruise to it. And then on his forehead, right above the ridgeline, just almost to the center, it looks like there's a red scratch mark above his left eye and to the right.
Ah, I see it, like right in
Do you
here.
see that in the same subsequent pictures in page 2?
Okay, page 2, I see a scratch mark, a vertical scratch mark adjacent to his right ear.
So right here.
On the right side of his face.
Same question for page 3.
Page 3, there's a scratch mark on the lower right portion of his chin. There's that same scratch mark on the center left side of his nose, and you can see the frontal portion of that bruise. It's on the left side under his eye.
Were you surprised to see Mr. Depp with these injuries?
Objection leading.
All right, I sustain as deleting.
Did you ever see any similar injuries on Ms. Heard?
None.
Not a one.
Did you ever see any injuries on Ms. Heard?
I didn't.
Did Ms. Heard ever tell you she was being abused by Mr. Depp?
She didn't.
Did she ever ask you for help?
No,
Did you ever see any evidence that Ms. Heard was being abused by Mr. Depp?
I didn't.
Turning to April 21st, 2016, Mr. Betts, do you remember anything about that day?
Yes, that was the day or evening that Ms. Heard was celebrating her birthday with some friends.
Do you recall what birthday Ms. Heard was celebrating?
I love
sorry?
that.
Do you recall what
part right
birthday
there.
Ms. Heard was celebrating?
I believe it was her 30th,
We're
29th or
really
30th.
enjoying it.
Your Honor, if we may, can we just remove the exhibits?
Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
sorry.
I love it. Keeps the exhibits up. It's awesome.
Other than Ms. Heard's birthday
Screen of all
celebration
his
that
sins.
evening, do you recall anything else about
Iris.
April 21st, 2016?
He had a meeting that afternoon, and which extended into the evening, and that was as I said, the night of her birthday party, where they got into another argument, and she had struck him
Texas
in the
mistress.
face.
All right,
Objection, move to strike, Your Honor.
sir, if you didn't see it, you can't testify to it, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
He knows better.
The jury will strike that answer. Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
That's why he's doing it. Jury can't forget it.
Were you with Mr. Depp when he attended the meeting that you mentioned earlier?
I was.
And if you know, who was that meeting with?
It was with his accountant,
And who is Mr. Depp's accountant?
Ed White.
Ed White.
And where did that meeting take place?
It took place at his old production office in the Los Angeles area.
So
What
you're a
happened
movie
after the
star, you might
meeting
as well
ended?
have a production office.
When the meeting ended, we drove to his West Hollywood address, which might have been maybe 5-10 minutes away. He had to go inside the house and retrieve something. I don't know what it was. We were only there a short period of time.
Nothing wrong.
We were
with,
kind of rushing because, we had been running late because it was a birthday dinner. And then we eventually left thereafter and headed back down to
loving
the penthouses downtown Los Angeles.
a good love.
And how would you describe Mr. Depp's
There's
demeanor
nothing wrong
after
with
the
that.
meeting ended with Mr. White?
Just
To me, he looked fine. You could tell he was in a hurry and he was,
way
telling me,
out
okay, we
that
got to hurry up and go to the
crazy
house real quick
level
before we go
to
downtown.
good sex
But other
level.
than that, he appeared fine to me.
And based on your observations, Mr. Bett, did Mr. Depp appear to you to be intoxicated?
He didn't.
I believe you testified that after you left the meeting, you went to Mr. Depp's home, his residence in West Hollywood, and then on to the Eastern Columbia building. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What happened after you arrived at the penthouses for Miss Heard's birthday dinner?
We went upstairs and she was having a dinner with her friends, and one of the penthouses, I believe it was penthouse number 5. We entered the front door to that penthouse. Amber stood up. She walked towards Mr. Depp. She had a look of, you could tell she was upset the fact that he was late. Mr. Depp apologized to everybody, apologized to Amber, and, told her, sorry, baby, or words to that effect for being late. She gave him a hug and a kiss and said, come sit down, sugar.
Well,
Is that
it's-
a common nickname Miss Heard used for Mr. Depp?
Yes, she used to call him that
that's
quite
good
frequently in front of him.
how it is.
Approximately what time did you arrive to the Eastern Columbia building?
It would have been somewhere between maybe 9
forgot to
and 10
give
o'clock.
you the heart.
in the evening.
Do you know what time the birthday dinner for Miss Heard was scheduled to start?
I can't remember the exact time.
Love it.
Do you recall how late you and Mr. Depp were to the birthday dinner?
I knew we were running behind, but as I said, I didn't know actually what time the dinner was starting.
And once
Starts
you
when it-
arrived at the
when it
penthouses of the Eastern
starts.
Columbia building, did you go inside?
Sucks that was
Briefly, I had a couple of Mr. Depp's computer bags and bags with me, and I just set them down in the corner,
Bags.
and then I exited thereafter.
How long did you stay at the Eastern Columbia building after exiting the penthouse?
I was probably there perhaps maybe another hour or two, and then I would have been relieved by the night shift security personnel, Travis McGivern.
Did you happen to work the next day on April 22nd, 2016?
I did.
nice.
Where did you start working on that day?
On that day, I drove to his West Hollywood address because Mr. McGivern had sent me a text message stating they had an argument. And
Objection, hearsay.
All right, sustain as the hearsay.
It is hearsay. Damn. He's slick. If her
Why did you
team
start your
just
shift
paid
at
attention,
the Sweetser
push that
property,
stuff
or
through.
Mr. Depp's West Hollywood property, as opposed to the Eastern Columbia building?
because that's where Mr. Depp was at the time.
Do you recall anything specific about that day, April 22nd, 2016?
Just he had told me they had
So
a.
I'll
Objection,
sustain
hearsay.
objection. You cannot say what he told you. So
that was the
I'm
day
sure
the
you
music
testified before.
died.
I have.
Yes, thank you.
Did you see Mr. Depp when you arrived to his West Hollywood home on April 22nd, 2016?
I did.
Did you observe any injuries on Mr. Depp?
I didn't.
In this time frame of April 2016, do you recall Mr. Depp's mother having any health problems?
Yes.
What do you recall about her health problems?
At that time, she was very critical. She had been suffering from cancer for some time, a few years, I believe. And at that stage, she was slowly deteriorating. So it was approximately a month before she passed.
And everybody, make sure
Do you
as you're
recall when she
coming in,
passed
you
away?
hit that like button. Give us a
I
thumbs up.
believe it was around May
Either channel
20th,
or both channels.
19th.
And how did you learn that she had
Makes
passed
the
away?
YouTube gods think
Mr.
we're
Depp
doing
told me.
something that's entertaining.
And again, based on your observations,
Or
how
at
would you
least
describe
slightly
Mr. Depp's
entertaining.
demeanor when he informed you that his mother had passed away?
Well, he just lost his mother, so he was, you could tell he was, very sad, and he was mourning. And so I just left him alone until he needed me for whatever I had to do for him.
Well, and normally, Sage, that'd be one thing, but he is a former cop. He knows how to testify. He is a professional at testifying. He's had to do it for multiple different reasons. And yes, rules of evidence are very hard because they go against the way normal people talk. But he is definitely not a normal person. He knows what he's doing when he does it. That's why he leans into the microphone and gets very loud whenever he says it, hoping that he can override that objection. And I've seen him do it multiple times, and I'm sure Rottenborn's getting a little frustrated with him because he keeps doing it. So yeah, it's for normal people, it's not a big thing, but he knows and he's doing it intentionally. So that's why Rottenborn's so just getting frustrated and make sure that he goes off on him. Oh my, look at this. Look at this. Lovely, lovely creature. And Jessica too.
I thought you were calling me the creature. I'm like, yes, I am a creature today.
You are the creature today.
I'm a
So how
zombie.
many of the seniors did you kick down the flight of stairs?
Not
You didn't
very
keep track?
many, but the same guy that came last week that didn't understand the whole process. Don't want to go into too much detail on stream because then they'll know where I work. But I think I talked to you about him.
Yeah,
He
you
was like
did.
yelling at me and stuff, and I screamed at him at the top of my lungs because he was being a twat. He came back today. I didn't let him know that we're gonna be closing down for remodeling because I'm like, fuck him. He can show up and we're not gonna be here.
That's awesome. So that way he'll be like completely just wanting to get his little anger out, and he shows up and he can't get it out because nobody's there, so he has to go somewhere else and be angry. Oh, you're so cruel. I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
of course, Trigger is saying, she's back from the bunny ranch. Woohoo!
Yes, I brought a bunny just for Triggered right here.
Look at that. Look at that. I mean, how can you go wrong with that cute little thing?
He's like, you're home? Okay, cool. Time for my evening nap.
Oh my. Oh my.
He waits for me to get home so he can take a nap.
Yeah, because you're cozy. You're like the cozy mom there. He's trying to figure out.
Doing? He's
trying to
standing
figure it out.
up. Stop standing. Lay down. Lay down. There you go.
Well, I'm happy that my dog is feeling better. He didn't eat. Did he eat last night?
Which one? Satellite ears or the tiny?
No, the one with the gray, the old one.
Oh.
So he had some like really bad bowel interruptions, I guess is the best way to put it. He was not doing well. I mean, it was 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, taking him out to so he could do his business. He was not loving it. And then he got back and he ate fine when we got back, pretty sure. But
Aww.
But this morning, no, he didn't. He didn't eat very well last night, and then this morning, he was not wanting to eat at all. I tried to feed him again at lunch, and he didn't want anything. I thought maybe one of his teeth were hurting, so I gave him just nothing but soft food, and he wouldn't eat that. And so tonight, I fed him some soft food, and he devoured it. And I had thrown a little bit of the hard food in there. I was like, well, if he's got issues where he doesn't want to eat, he won't eat. He devoured every single bit of food that I gave him. And so I gave him a couple of handfuls of regular, the hard food, and he was just like nothing ever happened. So that makes me feel good, because I hate knowing that the puppy's not feeling well. So
Especially
T-Rex,
because they can't tell you when they're not feeling well. It makes it so hard.
I know. He's back. Gonna go look at a shelter dog tomorrow. She's 7-year-old and a red healer. Hope she
Aw.
likes me because she's super pretty. Well, I hope she does. She's not got any issues, because our rescues, we decided we're not getting any more rescues that aren't puppies, because trying to train them from having really bad experiences can be really, 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 really difficult. I mean, we're all about the rescue pets, but having older rescue pets can be really difficult, especially as both my wife and I are getting older and just we don't have the time and patience to try to get a dog all trained up that might have like separation anxiety or things like that. Nothing like having a dog tear up your house because they're freaking out whenever you're gone. So
He pees all over the house when we're not home.
we did that for ours. We started putting a diaper on him, a puppy diaper.
Yep.
It was like-
Sometimes I put diapers on him when he's been peeing in the house, and he doesn't care. He'll just pee in the diaper. I'm like,
Yep, that's what ours would do too.
you're not supposed to like it.
Hey, does he have a dog door?
No, we don't have a dog door in our house.
See, dog door would make it a lot easier on him. A lot easier. Yeah, just saying.
He's kind of dumb. I don't think he would understand the purpose of the dog door.
That's, you train him.
Yeah, I potty trained him, and he still doesn't go. Right? Oh, you stink. What did you do today?
Rolled around something dead. That's what one of ours did.
Ew.
Yeah. While we were he was having so much fun too. He was just, I've never seen a dog with unbridled joy. So I'm talking about the dog that has a separation anxiety. He was the only one that we could leave off the leash, because he would hang out with us or not far from us. And he was just running through the leaves and diving in the leaves and rolling around. And I mean, he's just covered in leaves. This little Yorkshire Terrier, just covered in leaves. Like, he was having unbridled joy. And I guess he found something that was dead or dying or something, and he rolled around in it. My wife was like, "Oh my God, he smells like death warmed over." So she threw him in the shower and cleaned him up. I was like, "No, we're not having that. Not having that." Well, we're almost done with day 4. We'll probably hit day 5 tonight.
And to your knowledge, Mr. Bett, when was the next time Mr. Depp saw Miss Heard?
Drive safe, Shani.
Maybe a month later, sometime in May.
Mm-hmm. Night, Shani. Be safe.
And I'm sorry, was that a month after the birthday dinner on April 21st, 2016?
Objection leading.
I'll sustain as deleting.
To your knowledge, after April 21st, 2016, when did Mr. Depp next see Miss Heard?
In my presence, he would have seen her May 21st.
And was that after Mr. Depp's mother passed away?
Correct. That would have been a day after she passed.
I have approximately 10, 15 minutes left.
I'll let you finish. Is that okay with the jury? We'll finish Lisa direct. Okay.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Turning to May 21st, 2016, please tell us what you remember about that day.
That day we were at his West Hollywood address. Jerry Judge, his chief security guard, was with me and with us at the estate at the time. Later on in that evening, Mr. Depp told us that he wanted to go down and retrieve some items from the penthouse. And he also wanted to talk briefly with Ms. Heard.
Objection hearsay, Your Honor.
It's just to establish.
All right, you want to talk to Ms. Heard, that's fine. We'll leave it at that. Next question.
Thank you. So you were working on May 21st, is that right?
I was.
Did you end up taking Mr. Depp to the penthouses at Eastern Columbia Building?
I did, and Mr. Judge was along with me as well.
And do you remember approximately what time you arrived at the penthouses?
It would have been sometime after 7:30, maybe 7:45, 7:15, around that time frame.
And was that in the evening?
It was.
Did you enter the penthouses with Mr. Depp?
I did, myself and Jerry Judge and Mr. Depp.
And what did you see when you first entered the penthouse?
When we first walked in, on the center island in the kitchen, there were candles lit on the table. There was a couple wine glasses that were empty, and there was a bottle of wine that was open. There was also music playing in the background through the speakers that were in the wall.
Did you see Ms. Heard when you first entered the penthouse?
I did.
What happened after you entered the penthouses?
After we entered the penthouses, Jerry Judge told Johnny that myself and
Yes.
Objection hearsay.
All right.
Objection
I'll sustain the
hearsay.
objection. All right, next question.
Okay. Did you stay inside the penthouse with Mr. Judge and Mr. Depp?
no, shortly thereafter, Mr. Judge and I exited the penthouse and stood outside the door briefly.
How long would you?
So does that make sense to you? They show up. He hasn't been to his penthouse, and the lights are down low. A couple of wine glasses that are empty on the table. Music's softly playing, and I don't think he can say that she had someone there with her. That's my suspicion. Could
Oh,
be.
no.
Did you estimate that you stood outside the door of the penthouse?
It would have been approximately maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less.
And after standing outside the penthouse for 10 minutes, give or take, where did you go next?
We walked down the hallway to penthouse number 5. Penthouse number 5 has 2 doors. There's a main entrance that takes you into the living room. Next to it, around the corner, it's a continuation of the penthouse, which is like a storage area. It also has, it had a couch at the time and a TV for the security personnel. So
Night, Shenny. You have a wonderful night, and thank you very much for coming by. It's very nice of you. Of course, you have to come and hit the like button. If you don't hit the like button, what kind of friend are you? Shame for shame.
True story.
once we were at the penthouses, we could go in there, have lunch or dinner, or watch a little bit of TV. And then, whenever Mr. Depp or Ms. Heard would leave and I'd have to drive, or the other security personnel, we would get a text, or they would come knock on the door and we would leave.
And when you first arrived at the penthouses with Mr. Depp, based on your observations, was he drinking?
He had some glasses of wine at the meeting he was at with his accountant.
Apologies, Mr. Bett. I meant on May 21st, 2016.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Did you observe Mr. Depp drinking any alcohol that day?
He might have had a glass of wine in the car, but as far as the entire day, I wouldn't have known how much he drank.
Did he appear intoxicated to you when he arrived to the Eastern Columbia building?
As
No.
I said, I don't notice whenever he's intoxicated. He doesn't change.
So you went to the storage area of the penthouse area. How long were you there?
We might have been there maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. We got something to drink, and then we exited that penthouse I described, or that penthouse storage area.
And where did you go next?
We walked down the hall towards Mr. Depp's penthouse, which would have been penthouse number 3.
And did you stand outside the door or did you go in?
As we approached the door, we could hear the screaming and shouting from Ms. Heard. So I immediately opened up the door, and Mr. Judge and I ran in there.
Okay,
What do you remember
Sean.
Ms. Heard
Jar
screaming and
dirt.
shouting?
It appears she was shouting profanities. So
Love it.
once Mr. Judge and I went through the front door, Mr. Depp would have been standing directly in front of us, maybe about 20 feet, because parallel to us walking in or running in, there was a wall. It was the way the kitchen was set up. It was almost like an L shape. So you walk in and then you'd have to make a left. So Mr. Depp would have been standing in front of us, and he glanced at us. As soon as Mr. Judge and I rounded the corner, I saw.
What was that, Jess?
It's what triggered is awesome.
I
Oh,
know.
me and him talk mad shit to each other. And the best
I
part
love
is neither of us gets mad about it. We just keep talking shit.
That's the best part about it. Is talking shit. Nobody gets angry.
I stopped into Raketa's chat last night just because I got done with homework.
Yeah.
And he was reading something. I have no idea what he was reading. But I just went in and I was like, learn how to read, bro. Because he kept like fucking up and like stuttering. And he's like, hi, Jess, you learn to read. And I was like, all right. I got my shit talking in. Time to go to bed. Good night.
Well, there'll be more shit talking again tonight. I guarantee you.
Oh,
you know
for
what's
sure.
going to happen. I've actually had a really good day today. I talked with Vielhammer and he helped me get my microphone sorted out. It was last night. They were like, "Oh, your highs are really high and things are cutting out and we can't understand you." And I was like, "What the hell is going on?" StreamYard did some sort of update, and if you turn off your noise cancellation and turn on your echo reduction, it fixed the problem. It fixed the clipping and all kinds of crap that was happening. Like if you look in the settings on there for your audio,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see echo cancellation. You click that on and turn off the reduce microphone background noise.
Yeah.
And it took care of it.
Mine is already off. I need you to teach me, not right now, but obviously when we're done. I can't English. I need you to I have to say it slowly so I don't. I need you to teach me how to use Steel Series.
Oh yes. I can do that. One thing that I
so
do
hard for me to spit out. Jesus.
because SteelSeries is so weird. One of the quick parts to take care of on that is make sure that you flatline your headphones to start off with. Yeah, it's funky weird. It's really weird. Dave deleted it because he's having so many problems with it. I was like, it's all right, man. Don't you worry. Some people do better without.
NVIDIA, it takes me an hour to get into a stream because NVIDIA, I literally check it now before I come into a stream to see if my voice is like or not, just by the bar moving up and down.
Right. What I'm going to do
I know if I'm robot or not.
What I'm going to do real quick, Jessica, is I'm going to disappear. So this is going to go off the stream and it's going to be just you by yourself for just a short bit. I have to restart my browser because I'm having issues with it. So give me just like.
Do you want to send me the link and I'll play it from here?
Or no, this won't take, but like I just have to shut down the whole browser and restart it.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Yeah. Sorry, chat. I just got home from work, so I'm cleaning my glasses because I want to take out my contacts so I can get comfy. And then when Shizzy comes back, I'm going to change into my PJs, like Iris was saying earlier, because PJs are life.
See, I told you it wouldn't take long.
Yeah, it didn't.
No.
Sean was there. Sean saw that.
Share screen and live stream. There we go.
So I can tell whenever Nick notices me in the chat talking shit to him. Because you can see him, you can see him starting to crack up. Because he knows I'm doing it to derail his stream. It's great. It's great.
I love it.
If
There
you
we
don't
go.
derail your friend streams, are you even friends?
Yeah, the problem that I've been having is after about 15 minutes to an hour, StreamYard starts acting really funky no matter what browser I'm using. Oh, I'm sorry. Here,
Took you a while to notice what I was
it looks like
doing.
it's on my microphone. Talk to the poo. Talk to the poo. No, it acts really funky. So whenever I like exit stuff or turn stuff or change stuff, I don't see the change happen in StreamYard. Like whenever I pull
didn't
up
even
comments or
notice
anything.
anything until you said something.
Yeah, you won't notice it. It just happens to me. Like there's this weird lag stuff. It happens. It's funky. All right, we'll get back to it.
Good evening, Hal 9000.
Good evening, Hal. Hal 9000. So Hal, does the audio sound better tonight? You can thank Vilhammer for that. I just invited Vilhammer to a private conversation. We talked for like, I don't know, a couple hours afterwards too. But it was just like, yeah, help me hear I can't hear the EQ. And so he was just like a little more of this, a little more less. Yeah, pull that one down. Okay, go back. And we had it done in like 5 or 10 minutes. So it was helpful because there's an EQ on there and stuff. But I'll talk you through it.
Saw Ms. Heard standing next to her good friend Raquel Pennington.
And
Thanks, Hal.
how was Miss Heard standing? Where were her hands?
Her hands would have been in this motion. Once Mr. Judge and I rounded that corner and she saw both Jerry and I, she had this look of surprise on her face. And then she looked at Mr. Depp and us and she shouted out loud, "This is the last time you do this to me." At which point Mr. Depp looked at her and said, "What the hell are you talking about?" At that point, Mr. Judge tapped Mr. Depp on the arm and told him, "Boss, let's leave." So we gathered, there was a couple of computer bags that was right on a table, and we exited the front door to penthouse number 3.
Based on your observations, did you have a clear view of Miss Heard?
I did.
Did you have a clear view of her face?
I did.
Did you observe any injuries on Miss Heard's face?
I did.
It sounds like a
Did you see any
cheap
redness?
USB mic.
I
Using
did.
cheap software-based
Swelling?
processing.
No.
Damn right.
Was Miss Heard holding her face?
I'm a
She
cheap
wasn't.
son of a bitch.
So what happened next?
We exited penthouse number 3 and we walked down the hallway. Right when we were getting close to penthouse number 5 door, Mr. Depp says, "I need to get in here and look for something." So I opened up the door for him.
Looks like
We
he
went
has
inside,
glue on his
and that's when I
water
saw Miss Heard's friend, Raquel Pennington's boyfriend, Josh Drew, and another unknown female that I'd never
Right
seen
over
before.
here.
And there was a small dog kind of walking around. Mr. Depp, I believe he said, "Get the fuck out of my apartment." So Mr. Drew nodded his head and basically said, "Okay." The female picked up the dog, and they exited the front door to that penthouse.
What did Mr. Depp do next?
He was walking around the kitchen area, living room area. He might have gone upstairs briefly. I can't remember. I don't know what he was looking for. I didn't ask him. Mr. Judge didn't ask him. Eventually, he didn't find whatever he was looking for, and we exited penthouse number 3.
And while Mr. Depp was in penthouse number 3, did you observe him cause any damage?
No.
Hell, it'll
Did you
always
observe
sound
him
like
cause
a
any
cheap
damage to
USB
any of the
mic,
penthouses?
because that's what it
on
is.
May 21st, 2016.
No.
One day when I'm a
Did you see
millionaire,
Mr. Depp become violent with
I
anyone
get a really
while at the
nice
penthouses
mic.
on May 21st, 2016?
Check the meeting.
I'll allow it. That's fine.
whenever I
I did.
become YouTube famous,
One day,
Mr.
I'm
Depp,
just
have you
gonna
ever
sell
seen Mr.
my
Depp become violent with Miss
camera,
Heard?
my mic, my PC to somebody, and y'all aren't gonna see me online anymore.
be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here." Damn right.
Literally.
That'll happen. That'll happen to all of us at some point, you know.
I think it might happen sooner than later for me.
Oh, but I have so much fun hanging with you, Jazz.
I have fun hanging with you too. I just
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna go change.
All right. Can we watch?
Absolutely not. Be right
Dang
back.
it. Darn it. I'm so left out. So disappointed.
I have.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right. You can stay right there, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the testimony for today. So I'll release you. We'll be back here at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Please have a safe, quiet night. Please take care of yourself. Take your vitamins. We need you.
All right. Well, there we go. We got that day completely done and out of the way. There's nothing else that happened. So we'll move on to the next day. Let's see. All right. Let's see if this, because something's not going to work here, and I may have to make some adjustments. We'll see. Little bastard just decided to try to pull some crap. What I'll do is Mimsy, thank you for becoming the newest member. We appreciate you very, very much. It's awesome that you made it. Hey, Alabama Rose. Sorry, bad week, my friends. Everyone is live at the same time. No problem, Rose. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you could make it. And Mimsy, thank you again for becoming newest member. We appreciate you. I don't know whose side you became a member on, but we do appreciate you. I will say that with all sincerity. Oh, it was my side. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mimsy. It's good to have you. Let's see. We'll see if we can see L and C decided to add a little thing in there, see? So got the poop YouTube channel now. That's what we've got. Actually thinking of starting to Substack. I'm more of a writer. I took a break for a while after graduation, but I thought it might end up being a good thing. We'll see. Well, it depends on what you're writing. Appreciate you. Oh, me. Well, awesome. Yes, we appreciate you, Triggered of Oz. No, it depends on what kind of stuff that you're writing. I mean, is it really interesting? Is it stories, or is it just news, or what? That's what we like to find out. Because if you're writing, you know what I do on Sunday nights with Dictionary Diva. We could always use somebody with some fun writing skills. After all the work I missed, breaking my ankle in July. Oh. Sorry to hear that. Sean. Like 3 months behind on rent, month behind on utilities. Ooh, sorry. Really, that's no fun.
24/7 when he was in a relationship with Miss Heard, correct?
Correct.
And you obviously have no personal knowledge of what happens when you're not around, correct?
That's correct.
And you have no personal knowledge of what happens behind closed doors with Mr. Depp, correct?
Correct.
You weren't, when Mr. Depp was in a relationship with Miss Heard, you weren't traveling out of Los Angeles as part of Mr. Depp's security, correct?
I did on one occasion.
Now, what occasion was that?
We did a trip to Austin, Texas.
But other than that, you didn't travel outside of LA as part of your security when he was with Miss Heard, correct?
Correct.
So you weren't in Australia in March of 2015.
I was saying, wait a minute, are those Mickey Mouse pajamas? They're not.
Yes.
Are they?
I have like 3 different Mickey Mouse pajamas.
I like them. I thought maybe they were. I was like, oh, that looks like the Mickey. Looks like
Mickey Mouse has always been my favorite character. I know Disney sucks.
Well, that's
Like
Disney
Mickey
sucks,
Mouse.
but the original mouse does not. So, people that get all upset about it, they can just, kiss my ass. How's that?
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Wait, hold on. I think I have that sound bite of Howard saying it.
Oh, yeah. Bring
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
There we go.
I love it. Yeah, it's been savage, but I got a GoFundMe going for medical bills, etc. Nothing huge, but at least it's getting some support. I have to
Send me the link for your GoFundMe if you can on Twitter or something.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We'll share it.
Yes, Disney did not used to suck out loud. They just used to suck in the back rooms.
Hmm.
Go ahead. I knew I could get you to laugh on that. Sometimes life is shit. Sometimes, Sean, stay focused. You'll be okay. Absolutely. And we want everybody to be okay. Right? And we all go through some rough stuff. Everybody. And chat is not excluded from having to go through rough shit. And we keep you in our prayers and our thoughts, because you guys mean a lot to us, because we can really do this stuff without them. Just saying. I mean, we could, it just wouldn't be as fun and entertaining for us, at least.
Right. Correct. You weren't on a plane flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014, correct?
Correct.
You didn't go to the Bahamas with him, correct?
Correct.
You didn't go to Tokyo with him in Miss Heard, correct?
Correct.
You're around him almost every day when he's in Los Angeles, right?
Almost.
Picking up food for him?
Yes.
Pick up medicine for him?
Yes.
Help coordinate visitors to his house?
Correct.
Or his houses? Pick up groceries for him?
Yes.
And you let him into places like his residences, right?
Correct.
Because he doesn't carry keys for them, right?
Correct.
You drive him places?
I do.
Right. Almost every time he leaves his property, he's being driven rather than driving, correct?
Almost every time.
And you help arrange that, right?
Yes.
Your responsibility, one of them, is to help get him where he needs to go, right?
Yes.
You've woken him up in the mornings before?
I have.
And yesterday, I believe you testified that sometimes Mr. Depp would have just a glass of wine or two, right?
Yes.
And you testified that his demeanor when he was slightly intoxicated was the same as if he had had a glass of sparkling water. You remember giving that testimony?
I do.
Fact is, you've seen him much more impaired than that, right?
I have.
You've seen him impaired enough that you've had to help put him to bed before, right?
I don't understand by putting him to bed.
Well, there have been times when Mr. Depp was so impaired that you had to get up the stairs and open the bedroom doors for him, right?
Well, that specific bedroom door in his Los Angeles house, it has a tricky lock to it. So it's, there have been times where I've gone upstairs and maybe had a glass of water for him. And so I would have to open that door for him. Correct.
Right. So you've gotten him into bed. You've gotten him some water. You've asked him if he needs anything, right?
Correct.
In times when he's been impaired, correct?
And times when he's just had breakfast and some coffee.
And you've stayed with him, and during times when he's been impaired, there's times when you've stayed with him until he lays down and you tell him goodnight and that you'll see him the next day, right?
I wouldn't stay with him. I just would say goodnight. I'm going home and I'll see you tomorrow. Or if I happen to have a few days off, I'll see you in a few days.
Now, yesterday, you've actually prevented people from calling the police when Mr. Depp's behavior after drinking was bothering them, haven't you?
Prevented people?
Mm-hmm.
There was one time, correct?
Yeah, and in that occasion, Mr. Depp and some other people had had a couple perfect bottles of wine and pounded an entire bottle of tequila, right?
I don't remember how much they had to drink, no. I know there was drinking going on.
Mr. Depp told you that they had had a couple bottles of perfect wine and pounded an entire bottle of tequila, right?
I don't remember. That was some time ago.
Heather, can you pull up Exhibit 892, please? Mr. Bett, is this a text exchange that you had with Mr. Depp on September 1st, 2017, or 2:34 to 2:36 in the afternoon?
If you just give me a moment, let me put my glasses on.
Sure, take your time.
I have a hard time. Okay, much better. Can you repeat that statement of question?
Sure. My question was just, is this a text exchange that you and Mr. Depp had on September 1st, 2017, from 2:34 to 2:36 in the afternoon.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance, the date, this is well after.
What's the relevance of 2017?
The relevance is that Mr. Bett testified yesterday that he'd seen Mr. Depp have a glass or two of wine, and this is direct evidence to contradict
All
that.
right, I'll allow it. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So no time frame on that. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, according to the timestamp and date, that is a text message from Mr. Depp and I.
And at 2:34 p.m., Mr. Depp texts you, steaks were excellent, pondering, though we'll likely have dinner here. Steaks were excellent, a couple of bottles of perfect wine. We then pounded an entire bottle of tequila, 3 exclamation points. Then the savagery commenced, 2 exclamation points. Good morning, 3 exclamation points. Did I read that right?
You did. And there's an X and fascia after that.
Okay. And then you told Mr. Depp that you said, I prevented them from calling Popo.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay,
Nice.
also improper impeachment.
That's for the context of the text. When
No.
he testified that he had prevented him from calling.
I'll
So I've
Thank
got
you.
it over there on mine.
So then, Mr. Bett, you texted Mr.
And
Depp back 2 minutes
so-
later, and you said, I prevented them from calling Popo. Glad you had fun. You mean dinner in room or restaurant? You see that?
I do.
And you sent that text to Mr. Depp, correct?
I did.
And by Popo, you mean police, correct?
That's correct.
You told him that you were glad he had fun, right?
Right.
Your Honor, permission, move for admission of Exhibit 892 and permission to publish.
Damn right, Sage.
Our objection is relevance. This is well past the relationship between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard.
If
Nice.
we just use for impeachment, why would it come into evidence?
Well, it's Mr. Depp's statements about what he did when he
Still
found a
hearsay.
bottle of tequila and the savagery that
Well,
commenced go
if
toward his use of alcohol.
hearsay.
That's much greater than.
In 2017?
Mhm.
I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're aware that Mr. Depp has used drugs, right?
I am.
And you've helped facilitate Mr. Depp's drug use on occasion, correct?
I haven't.
I'm sorry,
I haven't.
you have not?
I have not.
Heather, can you pull up Exhibit 967, please? Mr. Bett, feel free to take the time that you need to review this document, familiarize yourself with it. But my first question for you is just, is this a text exchange that you had with Mr. Depp on June 12th, 2019?
June 12th. According to these transcripts, yeah, it has my name and his name on there.
Right. And if it starts at the bottom and goes up, correct?
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention to the timestamps.
That's okay.
My
It's hard
apologies.
to orient yourself with these sometimes.
Okay, at the bottom, yeah, I do see 6/12/19 at 1:50 p.m.
And then the more recent texts are as you go up the page, right?
Correct.
So in the bottom text, you're telling Mr. Depp that some people are at his house visiting, and you say they'll be at the pool in 10,
Objection, Your
right?
Honor, hearsay, also relevant. This is
Exactly.
2019.
What's the relevance?
He just
Objection.
testified that he hadn't helped facilitate Mr. Depp's drug use, so this is for impeachment, and this is, you got to read the text in context to see how it impeaches him.
All right, we could come.
Sure.
Approach, please.
Oh. Little buggers.
Yes, I just yelled at my Streamlabs bot in the chat.
Mr. Bett, you communicate with Mr. Depp through texts, correct?
I do.
That's your primary way of communicating
And it
with him?
times you out. You're like, damn it.
Well, not primary. I mean, if I happen to be in his presence.
Sure, but in terms of
I
written
would
communications,
cancel my
texting is the way
Streamlabs
that you guys
subscription
primarily
real
communicate,
quick.
right?
Correct.
And that's the same thing the same way that you communicate primarily with his other employees or with his family as well, right?
Yes.
You have a practice of deleting.
I'm
Jamie.
sorry. That right there would be so
Tell
damn
him, Jess.
funny. You're sitting there going, stop spamming your chat box, you hoe, and it times you out, and you're just like,
If anyone on Shizzy's side is wondering what I said, shut up, Streamlabs bot. Quit spamming my chat, ho.
because it did spam the shit out of it. And
It did. Like,
I was
the
just
fuck?
thinking that would be so funny if after you type that in there, that it timed you out. It's like, screw you,
Dude,
Jessica. I don't
it's
know
like-
who you are.
It either will not share any of the links at the allotted times, or it'll start spamming everything, and I'm like, Why do I pay you?
It's a hoe.
Yeah.
Always hoes never do what you ask them to do. Even though you pay them to do it, they just won't do
Seriously.
it.
They don't
Bastard.
even let you finish. I'm
I
just
know.
joking.
They just take your money and run.
Eating all of your texts with him at the end of the day or week, correct?
That's correct.
So there wouldn't be text from his time when he was in a relationship with Amber Heard that you have possession of, correct?
That's correct.
You've never seen Amber do something that you would call physically violent or an assault of Mr. Depp, correct?
Other than when I testified that she threw a water bottle or a plastic cup in his direction.
But that you wouldn't consider that physically violent or an assault of him, correct?
Yes, that is.
Well, in California, it's assault if you go to attempt to swing or throw something at somebody, even if you don't hit them.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
You all right?
Oh. Oops.
Okay,
Just
Sandy.
kidding.
That's all right.
So just, like with Andy No, whenever those people came up behind him and attacked him and were throwing water bottles at him and crap like that, that's
Mhm.
considered assault in the state. And if I'm not mistaken, he's in San Francisco or is he in Seattle?
I mean, if
If
he's
he-
in San Francisco, he deserves it. Fuck that city.
Well, yeah.
Just saying.
But the thing is he actually won those assault charges against those people too.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Because, attacking people randomly, if you don't like what they're saying, then just all you have to do is just walk away. You don't have to listen to them. I'd report that.
I mean,
to the Better Business Bureau.
I mean, you can walk away from a lot of things, even in real life, online and stuff, but people just choose not to because it's like it's always a dick measuring contest, whether it's IRL or online, and
Yeah.
everyone has these inflated egos, and it's like, fuck out of here with your inflated ego. I'll take a needle and I'll poke the air out of it like a balloon.
Yes. Like a really bad butt implant.
No, a really bad butt implant. I'd imagine. Well, when I think of really bad butt implant, it's the ones that like flip while they're in the butt, and they're like
Yeah.
on the flat side, and then you like literally the person who has them they just rub their butt and can like maneuver it and flip it. It's so gross.
I don't understand why anybody wants to do that. I mean,
Good question.
yeah, it's weird. What is that? People rather quibble over small shit instead of either work things out or walk away. Well, and I will tell you, from my experience, I would much rather have people quibble over small shit and not work it out and argue than the big shit and, get violent over it. Little stuff, poke fun, have arguments, but, know when it's time to end, but never take it to violence. That's where I draw the line. Violence is bad. Jamie's like, oh my God, really? Oh, she's talking about that butt implant, flipping it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some people that have some serious body dysmorphia where they feel that they have to like inject like there's some sort of like petroleum compound or something that these bodybuilders were injecting. I watched that the other night. It was so bad. It was so disgusting. I'm like, and they're thinking that they're looking attractive. It's like, man, all you got to do is just go to the damn gym, work out, eat right. You'd be surprised how much it doesn't happen overnight, but it makes it, you'll feel better with yourself, because, having your muscles separate from your body is not like pleasant ever. We all that Shartian. Love it.
Lardashian.
Lardashian. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was
Pretty
somebody
sure
that-
their butts are fake. Like, I don't care. They always show themselves working out, and I'm like, that's a cope. That's totally a cope. They know people are onto them for their plastic surgery, and they try to put in their little Kardashian show, oh no, we just work out really hard. I'm like, you work out now, but you had surgery and you have to work out to maintain your surgical shape. So
yeah. Jamie is right. Everything is fake on them Mo's. There is
yep.
nothing real about them. I've
The
never
I think the only one out of the Kardashian Jenners is Kendall. Even though I think lately she's been getting lip filler, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't they get
I watch
lipo.
their show and I'm bored.
Yeah, they get lipo and then they put it in other parts of their body that's not attractive. And if who in the hell was I watching? They were talking about this. They were like that the Kardashians get, especially Kim, she gets really upset because she's got a personal photographer with her at all times.
Yep.
And they try to secure like any area where they're going to be photographing. So that way you don't see like from the bad angles. Cause there's some really, if you look at different angles of like, it's like grotesquely not attractive at all, you know, cause she's
She
not
has cottage
standing
cheese ass.
worse than that. I mean, it's like disproportionately cottage cheese,
Mm-hmm.
like does not look attractive at all. And
Yeah.
it's like,
They Photoshop the shit out of their pictures.
yeah. But they make sure that they're standing in the right light and so they can get everything just perfect. And but anybody that takes a picture of them, they get very, very upset.
Mr. Bett, do you remember giving a deposition in this case?
I do.
And you were under oath for that deposition, correct?
I was.
And I asked you a number of questions, right?
You asked me several, yes.
I did. And if you can turn to page 111 of this transcript, please.
I bet he did. This rotten porn ass. Way too many questions.
It's on page 28 of the document.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If you look at line 22, the last line, and then heading over to page 112, you see that?
Got it.
And in your deposition, I asked you this question and you gave this answer. Question. So is it fair to say that while you've seen Miss Heard yell and get emotional toward Johnny, you've never seen her do something
Yeah.
that you would call physically violent or assault?
That's
Johnny?
why Ozempic
Answer.
got popular for all the celebrities and the people that have been taking it to lose weight. And then there was a shortage for the people who actually had diabetes. It was bad.
You know, and the guy that found the insulin for that and created it said that it should be free to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want anybody to make money off of it. He was just like, this should be free for everyone, because it's helping save lives.
Yeah, but it's America.
Yeah, it's America, where they're just
America.
where they redo it slightly with a little bit of a change to it. So bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
It's not the home of the free or whatever. It's not so much the home of the free like they say it is. We
Yeah.
get taxed on everything. Like I know people who like family members who live in Iraq and they're like, oh, we want to come to America and better our life. I'm like, trust me, you're better off there. Yes, there is the chances you might get blown up eventually, but at least you can enjoy your life more than we do. We just work and die. Pretty much.
Feels like that's what it feels like. Well, and you know, one of my one of my friend's sons is diabetic. He's been diabetic since he was really young, and he's also got is it celiac, where he can't have any sort of wheat. I
Yeah.
think is what yeah. So you combine those two, and it makes it really difficult on what he can eat. I mean, he's actually
It's so limiting.
and he's a doctor. I mean, he's in his residency right now. And whenever he was, I want to say 16, he went and got a tattoo for his insulin thing on his wrist, because he just got sick of wearing the bracelet and found someone that would do it with his parents being there and signing off on it and all that stuff. It's really weird in Georgia. But yeah, he's like, I just imagine, you've got this guy that's a surgeon that will do so much to help people out, but it was such a burden on his parents for him growing up to have that insulin and to be monitoring him constantly to make sure that, he because whenever he's not on his insulin, like really weird shit happens. Like he does really stupid things that normal people wouldn't do. And his parents really had to pay close attention to it. And he's much better about monitoring himself now. And his girlfriend is, always keeping an eye out for it to make sure that he's good to go. But man, I mean, it went from being like very small amount to have it done to being really, really expensive, whenever he was 16, 17. And it was Trump that came in and like knocked those prices down. And as soon as Biden came in, it was like, boom, eliminated all of that. Said, nope, we
And
got
people
big
still
pharma.
think Biden is God's gift to Earth. I'm like,
Yeah.
what I like about Trump is he's a businessman, and he ran the country like a business.
Yep.
Like, I don't care what he said. He knew what he was doing. And that's why I respect him.
Yep. I don't agree with everything that he said or did.
Right.
I mean, that would be an absolute lie if I said that I did. I actually didn't like hearing him speak or having his long speeches, and sometimes they were overwinded. It just was like, I don't really care. But as far as the work that he was doing, the putting people in the right places to get things taken care of, I mean, if you can get past the BS rhetoric, he's doing a pretty damn good job, But we'll get back to our local programming here.
Sir, correct. Did I read that right? You did. I'd like to turn to May 21st, 2016. That was the incident that we talked about last night, right before we adjourned for the day, correct?
Correct.
You and Mr. Jerry Judge brought Mr. Depp over to the penthouses at the Eastern Columbia building that night, right?
We did.
And you knew that he was going there to speak with Amber, correct?
And gather some belongings.
Your understanding was that Mr. Depp was going over there because they both wanted to talk and calm everything down, right?
Objection calls for speculation as to what Ms. Heard wanted.
I am.
I'll sustain the
She is so quick.
Mr. Depp told you that he and Amber were going to talk it out and talk about what's going on, correct?
Objection hearsay.
Correct.
And he had wine in the car on the way over. I believe you testified yesterday, right?
He did have a glass of wine.
And I think you testified it's possible he had been drinking during the day before you brought him over there, correct?
Correct. I saw him with a wine glass after his meeting when he came out into the hallway.
And when you, no, I'm sorry, during the day before you picked him up to go over to the Eastern Columbia building, it's possible he'd been drinking, correct?
Well, we were at a meeting. He did have a glass of wine in his hand, so I presume he was drinking.
And when you arrived at the Eastern Columbia building, you can't say one way or the other whether Mr. Depp was carrying wine with him into the building, right?
I can't remember.
You and Mr. Judge led him into penthouse 3 and were in there for just a minute or two before you exited penthouse 3, correct?
Yes, give or take.
And then you stayed outside in the hallway of penthouse 3 for a bit, right?
A short period of time, correct.
I think you testified yesterday like 10 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, give or take.
And then from there, you went from the hallway outside of penthouse 3 to penthouse 5, the storage area where you had a couch and a TV and that sort of thing that you testified about, right?
That's correct.
Is that also known as the guard shack?
A modified version of the guard shack. It's just a place for us, as I testified yesterday, to, rest or have lunch or some coffee.
Sometimes called a cubby hole, is that right?
We might have called that. I can't remember what.
Okay, just to orient us, Heather, can you please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 116? And Your Honor, I believe this has already been entered into evidence.
I do believe so. Yes, it's in evidence.
Can you rotate that, please? Counterclockwise. Okay, and then maybe just blow it up, please.
Hey, teach their own.
And Your Honor, permission to publish if it's
It is
not already.
published.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot of problem with Christie. I think that he did Jersey really bad. I think, isn't it Jersey he's from? Like, he did some really like shady crap, and I think there's a lot of people even in his home state that do not like him. But that's just from what I've heard. I don't know, because I know very little about Christie. And if that's your guy, then hey, nothing wrong with that. I've got, same way whenever people say, "Oh, I support Biden," I'm like, okay, absolutely. Take my heart back, Sean. No, I mean, I don't have, whatever your political preference is, as long as you stand by your belief and you believe and you have faith in whatever candidate you have, that they're going to do good for you, and they align with mostly with what you believe, then I have no objection to that. So, I mean, and I don't want to get any political arguments here. That's just me personally. Like, my wife and I were political opposites, but we find, a lot of other stuff to be more concerned with. Your president has very limited powers, as they should. They can do a lot of damage really quick in a short period of time, or they can do a lot of helpful stuff. And I mean, at this point in our country, I see that, we're not going down a good road. And I don't see any candidates outside of Trump. It's just me personally, outside of Trump, that can do much better. I see a lot of people that talk a good game, but when it comes down to it, they're not doing great. And don't ever worry about it. It's okay. It's okay. But we're not going to get into political statements here. We're here to have fun. So all you got to do is just wipe out all of the political stuff. Just wash it away. Wash the political stuff away. Make it go away. Not political here tonight. That's for another night. Just gotta love this trial, because we love you guys.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. So, Mr. Bett, if you just to orient us, am I correct in saying that could you put your finger just on the guard shack area of Penthouse 5, please?
I'll show you my butt implants. Would that make you laugh?
Sure.
you
It's
touch
just
no butt
the
implant.
diagram, the schematics is kind of off because the way Broadway is set up, it doesn't coincide with the way the buildings were. But I can
You didn't, Sean.
make an attempt to show you.
Everybody.
Yeah, I think the screen will make a mark if you show on it.
Okay.
Don't even worry about it. This is
I mean,
a
I'm having a,
place where people can disagree and still get along with one another. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, I'm not seeing
Okay.
any
Okay.
marks. Okay, good.
So this is, I'd say, right in this area right here.
Okay,
Is it showing up?
Need some
Because there would be elevators to the right.
it is.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
that's showing up.
Okay.
So that's down the hall from outside Penthouse 3, right?
Correct.
And you stayed in that guard shack for, I believe you said 5 to 10 minutes. Is that right?
Yes.
So if you spent about 10
The
minutes outside
guard
Penthouse
shack.
3 and then 5 to 10 minutes inside the guard shack, you say you were at the building for what, a total of 30 minutes or so?
It could have been a little bit longer. It could have been 40. It could have been closer to an hour. It was quite some time ago.
But you're fairly confident it was 40
movies.
minutes to an hour.
Around that time frame, correct.
And you said that you arrived at the building sometime between 7:15 and 7:45. Is that what you said yesterday?
Yeah.
What's your best guess?
It would be an estimate guess, maybe
We love
more
you.
towards
We love you, Alan.
8-ish. But again, it could have been 7:30. I just
Okay,
It's
more
awesome.
towards 8-ish. All right. And so you stayed in the guard shack for 5 to 10 minutes, and then you left the guard shack and headed back up the hall toward the door of penthouse 3, right?
yes,
And at some point you heard Amber shouting and you let yourself into penthouse 3, right?
that's correct.
The
Awesome.
closest you got to Amber when you went into penthouse 3 was 15 to 20 feet, right?
Around that, correct.
And you were in penthouse 3 for just about 30 seconds to a minute before you left again with Mr. Depp, right?
Around that time frame.
You don't remember what Miss Heard was wearing, do you?
I don't.
And you can't remember if she was crying when you saw her, right?
I didn't see her crying.
You can't remember if she was crying, right?
I just said I didn't see her crying.
She could have been crying, right?
Objection, calls for speculation, and asked and answered.
It's a different question.
I'll sustain that objection. The next question.
And you can't remember if she had any makeup on or not, right?
If she did, she had very little.
You just can't remember if she did, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's possible, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Get off the makeup, guys. It's a losing scam. Makeup does not make you look all that much better. It's good for making
Turn to page
you
160,
slightly
please,
better.
in your
A
deposition.
lot of it has to do with bone structure and all that neat kind of stuff. So if you're
that'd be
thinking more
page
makeup is
40
going
as
to
well.
make
Page
it more
40,
better,
yes. Okay.
it's not always true, ladies.
And
Sometimes
on line
other-
1, I asked you the question, did Miss Heard have any, you couldn't tell if she was wearing any makeup, right? Your answer was, I can't remember if she had any makeup on or not. Did I read that right?
You did.
I always prefer when my wife
And
does
you don't
it.
know you have no personal knowledge of what transpired in penthouse 3 while you were outside of it that evening, correct?
I don't.
And you have no personal knowledge of whether Amber had a phone thrown in her face by Johnny Depp that evening, correct?
I don't.
Because you weren't there, right?
That's correct.
So you left penthouse 3 and then you went into penthouse 5 at Mr. Depp's insistence that he get into penthouse 5, right?
That's correct.
And he was agitated at this time, right?
I'm sorry. You said I went into penthouse 3 or penthouse 5 at this time?
I'm sorry. You left penthouse 3 after 30 to 60 seconds with Mr. Depp and Mr. Judge, and you went to penthouse 5, right?
Correct.
And that's because Mr. Depp was demanding to get into penthouse 5, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Depp was agitated at this time, right?
Still have
Yeah,
to
I'd say
clear
he was
his
agitated.
eyelashes.
And one of the reasons that you could tell that he was agitated was because this wasn't the first time you had seen him agitated, right?
Well, no.
Mr. Depp told you to let him into penthouse 5, and you did that, right?
Yes.
And when he left penthouse 3 to go to penthouse 5, you can't remember if he had wine in his hand or not, correct?
That's what I said. And of course, Jamie says she likes tinted moisturizer and glowy lotions. My wife does that too. I don't get it. I mean, I'd still sleep with her without it. So, and MMC love to enhance with makeup. No cakey stuff. Yeah, the cakey stuff was really big back like in the 80s. Didn't really like that too much. Especially, whenever they would take it all off and you're like, oh my gosh. But once they would leave it off for a long period of time and they were comfortable just being themselves, you'd be surprised how even like those blemishes, the stuff that women would go, oh, I want to cover this all up. Once us guys get used to it, we don't really notice that, we enjoy women. But of course, eyelashes are a must. MMC agrees. Oh, shizzy. Yes, not cake face. It feels so yucky to me personally. Yeah. The really heavy stuff. Guys actually find it attractive whenever women wear very light makeup that maybe just like conceal stuff a little bit, but they'll get like that little flush. You know what I mean? It's like makeup is nice for the, if you're going out same way that guys, whenever they wear a suit and a tie, they can tend to look much better, that even if they're look like a ruffian like me, which that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, Jess. I won't be able to stream tomorrow. I'll be at a function with my wife where I actually have to look nice.
Aw.
Yeah. I might be back in time if MG streams tomorrow. I might be back in time for that, but I'll have to be all cleaned up and early on. But my wife likes it whenever I wear something really nice every so often. It's out of the norm. But yeah, we us guys, we're actually pretty easy to please. We really are. It's the vain ones that you have to look out for if they're offended because you're not wearing enough makeup for them and you don't look like they're hoes or something like that. Well, maybe you don't
Get a
want to be
new
around those
friend.
guys. Yeah, get a new one. Yeah, my wife doesn't wear makeup whenever she's working from home. She only wears it when she goes into the office.
I only wear makeup when I go out. I don't even wear makeup at work.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yep. As natural as possible. Women, we love you. Just know that guys like the female form. Just saying.
I can't.
I'm sorry?
I can't.
Cannot?
Cannot.
And when he walked into Penthouse 5, inside were Rocky Pennington, her fiance Josh Drew, and another woman and a dog, right?
That's correct.
And Mr. Depp told them to get out of his penthouse, right?
Yes,
And they exited, right?
they did.
And you can't remember one way or the other whether Mr. Depp knocked anything off the table in any of the penthouses, right?
It's possible he did, but I can't remember.
Did you or Mr. Judge, just to be clear, did you or Mr. Judge destroy any property or knock anything off tables in any of the penthouses that evening?
No.
You have no personal knowledge of whether or not Mr. Depp was violent to Ms. Heard at times when you weren't around them, correct?
I have no knowledge.
And Ms. Heard may have suffered injuries at the hands of Mr. Depp over the years that you didn't witness or you didn't see, correct?
Correct.
I'd like to end by just taking a look at the videos of you entering and exiting the building, I believe. Heather, could you pull up Exhibit 672? And Your Honor, I believe that these were part of Mr. Patterson's deposition and that they've been admitted.
I do have 672 admitted, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. Thank
Okay.
you.
And the next one will be 666, just to confirm.
All right, we have that as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. Heather, could you play this starting at 1? Well, actually, before we start, do you see this on your screen, Mr. Bett?
I do.
And you see the timestamp that at the bottom, that shows what time the camera, the video was taken, correct?
I see the timestamp and the date.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this, Heather. Start at 1:55.
Yes.
That's you in that
True.
black and white shirt, right?
Oh, that's me.
That's Mr. Depp in the hat,
Correct.
and that's Mr. Judge to his left.
Correct.
And this video is when you're entering the Eastern Columbia building to take him to Penthouse 3, correct?
Correct.
So it's actually a good bit earlier than you testified to, right? It's at 7:02, if I'm converting military time to...
Well, that's what the timestamp says. I mean, I don't know how it was calibrated and so forth, but according to the screen, it does say 1902 hours, which is 7:02.
7:02 p.m., right?
Correct.
On May 21st, 2016.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Heather, you can take that down, please. Please pull up Exhibit 666.
Exhibit 666, the mark of the beast.
Oh my.
And you see that the timestamp on this video is... Well, let's go ahead and play the video first.
Yeah. Why don't you give it a
Yep.
try?
Let's do it.
Do it. I hope so.
And that's you on the right again, right?
It is.
And that's Mr. Judge in the middle, right?
Yes.
And that's Mr. Depp on the left.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
That must be the elevator scene.
And the timestamp on this video is 2029 or 8:29 p.m., right?
That's correct.
So you were actually in the Eastern Columbia building for about an hour and a half that evening, right?
Well, according to these timestamps, yes, it does say that. It didn't seem like it was that long.
2029.
I don't further. Thank you.
All
Thank
right, redirect.
Yeah.
Mr. Bett, you previously testified that when you left penthouse 3 and went into penthouse 5, who was inside that penthouse when you entered with Mr. Depp?
Josh Drew, an unknown female, and a little dog.
Was Miss Pennington inside penthouse 3 when you entered with Mr. Depp?
I'm sorry, you said penthouse 5, didn't you? Am I getting my numbers?
You're right. My apologies. Let
I'm
me start
sorry.
over. Confusing. When you left penthouse 3 and went into penthouse 5, who was inside? Let's try this again.
Okay. Josh Drew,
Same.
an unknown female, and a cute little dog.
Where was Miss Pennington? Was she inside penthouse 3 when you entered? Or penthouse 5 when you entered?
She was not in penthouse
And he
5.
lives.
Where was the last place you saw Miss Pennington on May 21st?
She was standing next to Miss Heard in penthouse number 3.
I think there's been also a little bit of confusion about April 21st, 2016 and May 21st, 2016. So let's start with April 21st, 2016. What occurred?
Objection just to the Ms. Vasquez testifying.
I'm just trying to orient the witness,
All right,
Your
well,
Honor.
go ahead.
I'll try to
Thank you.
limit that. Where was Mr. Depp on April 21st, 2016?
On April 21st, he was at a meeting in his production office.
Okay. And I believe you testified previously that you saw him holding a glass of wine. Is that right?
Correct.
Did he appear intoxicated to you after that meeting?
He didn't.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
He did not.
He did not. Okay. Now, on May 21st, 2016, was Mr. Depp drinking wine that day?
He did have wine with him,
That's
yes, correct.
Or
And at what
sage.
point did you observe Mr. Depp with wine on May 21st, 2016?
He probably had it in the car with him when we were driving down. And he could have finished it prior to us walking to penthouse 3.
And did Mr. Depp, based on your observations, Mr. Bett appear intoxicated to you on May 21st, 2016 before he arrived to the Eastern Columbia building?
He didn't.
He did not.
He did not.
Did you ever observe anything that made you concerned for Ms. Heard's safety?
Objection, foundation, and leading.
I'll allow it if you can answer. That's fine.
Yeah, that's.
I did not.
It's pretty straight.
What, if anything, did you observe that made you
Question.
concerned for Mr. Depp's safety?
From the injuries I saw on his face when on a few occasions I took photos of him.
Nothing further.
Good
Thank you,
way
Your
of
Honor.
Is this witness
Framing.
subject to recall?
No, Your Honor.
All right, not subject to recall, correct? Okay, all right, so you're free to go, or you can have a seat in the courtroom. It's up to you. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. You have a good day, sir.
Free to go.
All right, your next
We'll
witness.
just kick your ass
Thank you, Your
out of
Honor.
here.
Plaintiff calls Keenan Wyatt.
Keenan Wyatt. Could you spell that name for me?
K-E-E-N-A-N.
Remember this one.
Last name Wyatt. W-A-Y-A-T-T.
Quiet.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir.
Your Honor.
Quiet. Mr. White, Mr. Pink. Why do I have to be Mr. Pink? Why can't I be Mr. Black? You're Mr. Pink because I said you're Mr. Pink. God, it was such a good movie, Reservoir Dogs.
Is this on a video depot or is he just taking his sweet ass time walking up there?
Oh, he's taking a sweet ass time. Rocking.
I wonder how fat he is. I don't remember.
This, I think, is his accountant, isn't it?
Bruh, you're not even fat. Okay, we'll just say he's old. That's what took him.
Good morning,
forever.
Mr. Wyatt.
What was that?
I said he's not even fat, but
No. No, he's
considering he
not.
has gray hair, I'm just gonna say he's old. But like,
Yeah.
but I feel conflicted because like, I have gray hairs and you have gray hairs and we're hot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call us old.
Well, I would call me old.
I wouldn't call you old.
As the beard shows, look at that. Look at all that
I
gray.
can't call you old. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. If you're my dad's age, maybe.
How old is your dad?
He's about to be 70.
Yeah, I'm not that old yet. I mean, my wife's parents are in their 70s now.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was driving my mom's car today, because I had to take it to be washed. He's here. I don't want him to hear me, but we all went out on Saturday night and my dad mixed wine and ouzo and he threw up in the car.
That would suck. I understand. I do understand. I didn't hear anything. Yeah, that's a good reason to do that. Wayne's reality.
Is that an alt of winning or is that a troll?
I think it's an alt.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's an alt.
I was so confused when I seen that. But yeah, so I was driving my mom's
That's
car
why you weren't
today.
enjoying driving it. I understand.
Nope. And I almost threw up in the car while driving.
I can imagine. So when I lived out in Hollywood, we went to a party out in the hills, and it was just it was something that they did once a month. Everybody get together. They'd have like drum circles, and everybody would show up. We'd show up and play, with some actual PA instruments and like put on a show for probably like 30 or 40 people at this house. And this girlfriend, wasn't my girlfriend, it was the guitar player's girlfriend, comes out with us, and she'd been it was Jeff's birthday, so we went to a Mexican restaurant, and everybody had like really good Mexican dinner. Margaritas might have been had, some tequila might have been drank, and then we go to this party afterwards. And it was sort of bring your own kind of festivities. It might be, you bring chips and salsa. It could be that you bring some brownies with the devil's lettuce mixed in with it. It could be that you mix, your own batch of mushroom tea,
Mushroom tea?
Yeah. So this girl, she shows up with us and she's hanging out, and she sees the brownies and she was like, well, I didn't have any dessert. I'm going to have some dessert. So she grabs about 3 or 4 of them and she chows down on them, and it hasn't hit her at this point. And this guy comes roaming around. He's a little bit of light in the loafers, and he comes rolling in there, and he's like, oh, you want some tea? And I was just like, that doesn't look like tea. He's like, no, it's mushroom tea. It's good stuff. I was like, no, I have to drive home tonight. That's not going to happen. No tea for me, brother. Thank you, though. But she goes, sure. And so she drinks some mushroom tea. We finished up playing at about 1 o'clock in the morning, because we got there as maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Jeff is going, where is Amy? I'm like, I have no idea. Last time I saw her, she was drinking mushroom tea. He was like, oh crap. Because last time I saw her, she was eating like 4 of those deviled lettuce brownies. Yeah, we found her outside in the street in her own vomit. It was not
Oh no.
sight for her, and she couldn't stop, and she was hallucinating on top of that. She thought I was Jeff, and she was like trying to ride me, and I'm like, no, I'm not your boyfriend. Your boyfriend's about a foot shorter than
Oh.
me.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, but you'll have sex with me. I'm like, no, actually, I won't.
You're like, get away from me now.
Vomit, and I'm just not. I'm not in your space, and she's still hallucinating. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun teasing her for probably about a year after that. It was just, you sure you don't want some tea? She's like, I'm never drinking tea again the next day ever. I went, "Well, if you-"
I was laughing at my dad because I'm like, y'all say I'm irresponsible by going out and like partying and drinking and shit, but at least I haven't done that.
Yeah. Yeah. In high school, I went to a keg party. I'd never been to one before. It was my freshman year. Went to an actual keg party. I was like, huh. So what do you do at a keg party? It was like, well, here's a cup, and there's 5 kegs. They're spread out in this area somewhere. Go find them. I was like, okay. I have no idea how much I drank that night or what I was drinking, although I do know it was beer. I do remember the cops showed up at some point in time. And what was the surreal part of it is the cops showed up. We got in Fisher's car, and there was, 3 other people there besides me. And I'm sitting in the back seat and crammed in between 2 people. And they stopped at like a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. And I must ate like, I think they got like a 24 pack or something of donuts. I must ate half those damn things. And I remember, and this is like the first time that I've ever been like completely wasted in my life. I remember getting in bed, but I don't remember getting out. I just remember waking up on the bathroom floor going, oh, this feels really good because it's nice and cold. And a bunch of teenage guys, that floor probably wasn't very sanitary. I think I probably showered for like days after that.
The last time I got wasted was last summer. And I woke up in Zeus's bed, which is like the elevated platform beds.
Yeah.
I woke up in his bed and he was on the couch sleeping. I was like,
what?
Something ain't right. You should be on your bed and I should be on the couch. Whatever though.
Yeah.
I don't blame drunk JR for sleeping on Zeus's platform bed though, because they are pretty comfortable.
Damn right they are. I hope you didn't wake up and your butt hurt. No, that didn't happen.
Oh no.
No.
That would have been terrible.
That would have been very terrible. No, I just woke up on the floor and probably had like pubic hair stuck to the side of my face or something. It was probably pretty disgusting looking.
Do you know whose it was?
It was probably one of the 5 guys that were in that foster home.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh yeah, we got a little wild and crazy. The donuts probably soaked up some of it. Yeah, the donuts probably did soak up some of it, but I do know that I projectile vomited into the toilet. I do remember doing that.
At
But I
least
don't.
you made it in the toilet though.
Yeah. Well,
My-
I don't know how I made it into the bed. Or I just remember waking up in the bed, and it was a bunk bed, and I was like trying to put my foot over the side to like touch the floor,
Mhm.
and then I don't remember anything except for waking up on the bathroom floor and then like projectile vomiting, and then laying back down on the floor, going, "This is probably not very sanitary." Waking up the next morning with Papa. He's got some garbage can lids. Come on, we got work to do. It's Saturday morning. I was like, "Ah, you're an asshole." But yeah, we ended up having to like clean the whole house and crap like that because he knew we went out and got drunk. That's why he did it. Yeah, we had fun.
Good times.
Very good times. Well, before this guy gets started, do you think we should kick this thing out? Send everybody to our respective place. Did you add the link to it to your thing?
Yeah. So I set it up to redirect to MG's stream.
Nice.
I think he should be getting started right now. I think.
Yeah.
So I think we should end it here.
Yeah, he
We're
started.
at what, 47 minutes in?
Yep. Oh, I've got this saved here. 4710, and I've got it saved on this particular one. So if I need to send it to you, I can. And what I'll do
Well,
is
I'm not going to be doing it without you anyways, so I don't care.
Well, of course, but there we go. I've posted it in it'll show up as me and as Jessica Reloaded. That is where we're going to be going whenever we end this tonight. We appreciate all of you coming out. And tomorrow we won't be doing a stream, but we will be doing one on Thursday if you're up for that, Jess.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. Do you want to kick us out of here?
Did you see my outro the other night?
I did.
I'm like, I'm not going to tell you guys to go fuck yourself because I feel like being nice today, but like, go fuck yourselves. Love you. Bye. And I ended it. It was great.
It was great. I love you guys. We'll see you guys Thursday.
Bye.
I love a buttered biscuit.